shoot the shit and wait for people to come in.
Yeah,
Basically. How's Conan?
it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is super good.
Good.
It's a lot more like RPG with
Mm-hmm.
survival elements than it is just a survival game.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. And now we've got mods that have boosted the level cap so we can keep
Oh.
going with more stuff. And we can also, what is it? We have like, so the normal game's cap is only 50 or 60.
Mm.
There are mods that add new stuff and new enemies and areas and dungeons and stuff, and they go all the way up to level 300.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
cool.
actually a massive, massive increase in content, and it's just great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Mongoose. How are you? Good. All right. Well, certain that this is doing what I want it to. Good. No frame drops as of yet. We're in
Good.
business.
Very good.
Yeah. All right. So, hello out there, and welcome
Hello.
back. Table Talk, discussion, and discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great on 95.
I just realized that it's been a long time since I've actually been here for the intro. So I'll
True.
actually do it with no preamble and stupid shit. I'm your second host, PrinceBoo21 on
Ah,
YouTube as well. Although I
there,
don't do anything on YouTube anymore.
there you
Except
go.
this, I mean.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
while since. I don't think you've ever actually done your whole like
Yeah.
username too.
Yeah, I don't think so, no.
Um, yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just too humble.
That's nice. Yeah. Um, Finally remembered it was Tuesday. That's fair. Yeah.
Mm,
To be fair, I think a lot of people are trying to remember that it's Tuesday because we had those couple of weeks unfortunately forced off,
mm,
and it has definitely not helped. But
yeah.
it's all good. So, uh, well, today
Mm.
we are going to be talking about the weather,
Oh
uh,
boy.
and also environmental hazards,
Mm.
um, and running them in your TTRPGs.
Because you absolutely should.
Yeah, it's the weather is one of those things that I kind of forget to do a lot of the time,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. And when I do, it's more just an aesthetic thing,
Yeah.
than it is an actual practical thing that people have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
You
but
don't usually, at least we don't anyway.
yeah,
We don't usually go to areas that are like extreme weather
exactly.
usually.
Yeah.
Or if we're going there, you're like for example in hell,
Mhm,
you're devils, you're accustomed to it.
exactly. Yeah. If we were humans in that campaign, then it would be like, oh
You'd be
god,
you'd be
ah,
because
like all the
this is
time.
like canonically like several thousand degrees at all
Yeah,
times.
yeah, exactly.
And that's why we always make the joke that's like, oh man, everybody's cold when they're on the surface.
right, yeah. Um, so yeah, that's one of those things that we'll see about getting some tips about
Mm.
from a couple of creators today. Um, let us start with uh fails and flails, if you remember. Um,
Don't believe so. No, actually.
we covered this guy's channel once before.
Okay.
Hey,
Um,
folks.
Oh my god.
and
I don't know if I was here for it. I don't recognize the
you
face.
were, I know you
Oh.
were.
Oh, okay.
what was it? And I will find that out right now.
Okay.
Because handy thing is that I can just go to all of our videos, and for the description, I can put fails. And then it was bad writing, lessons, and gatekeeping. That was what we covered, and he did a video on gatekeeping and anti-min-maxing in D&D, and TTRPG community. Small rant. So, and I remember we liked his stuff. We liked what he was saying. Because he was like not saying, oh, if you're doing min-maxing or whatever, that's bad. Stop. Right?
Yeah, it wasn't that.
I'm pretty sure. But I remember enjoying the video. So, I was pleasantly surprised when I searched up environments and also weather, that I found this as one of the results. So, we will get right into it.
Get stuck in, lads.
Yeah, indeed. So this is TTRPG Environmental Hazards, D&D 5e, Natural Hazards for Combat, from Fails and Flails.
Yes.
It keeps buffering for me, so my responses will probably be more delayed than normal.
Hey folks, welcome to Fails and Flails. Today in this video I'm going to be talking about how to make encounters more interesting using the weather, terrain, and before we get started though, if you do enjoy the video, consider subscribing, leave a like down below, and also drop a comment, let me know what else you're interested in and what you think of the video. Now, let's get rolling.
Come on. Oh, I remember that. I remember the intro.
Yeah, I knew the intro would get you again. Yeah.
It did it.
I've mentioned in a few of my other videos how you can make combat a lot more dynamic and interesting by taking advantage of terrain such as a height advantage or even just cover. However, in this video, I'm going to be covering more about how to use like specific elements of the environment to have actual more direct impacts on the rolls. And this is going to include vision, difficult terrain, force or impelled movement, effects that can knock you prone, and hazards. Darkness is going to be the most common and the easiest to implement because obviously anytime it's at night or the players are underground, there's not going to be any natural light. However, it's also going to be the easiest to overcome because they may be able to just pull out a torch or have some sort of ability like dark vision or something else that allows them to see in the darkness. So,
to be fair, like most of the races in D&D, like most of them have dark vision.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that's like
it's a meme at this point.
Yeah, absolutely it is. The meme is you're going into a cave, says the GM, and then the player immediately goes, I have dark vision.
Yeah.
You know, like, because it's just it's just how it works.
Because everybody has it.
Most of the time. And honestly, I forget that I don't have it sometimes when I'm playing races that don't, because it's just so ubiquitous in a way.
Yeah.
And most of the time I don't know, I don't encounter people like worrying about darkness really, unless it actually is the spell. Right, the spell darkness, which will actually be a supernatural darkness that you can't see through unless you're a tiefling.
Yeah.
When you cast
and
it.
I never actually really think about darkness as weather, but it really absolutely is.
Yeah, it's true.
Because I mean, you could have darkness come about just at night.
Yeah, exactly.
And since you don't really I don't really hear about that all that often. Like people, it's a dark cave, you know? It's always a cave. But you could absolutely have like pitch black at night.
Yeah, exactly.
And you would need to think about it's like, well, is the moon out?
Yeah, that's
because like the moon, if you live in an area where you have like you're far away from a lot of bright lights, the moon actually will illuminate quite well.
Oh yeah.
But it has to be out.
Exactly. If there's no cloud cover, you don't have to, you know, like I preferably, in fact, like driving at night when the moon is out, because it's far easier to see than it is without it. When it's a fucking cloudy night, man, does it suck sometimes, you know? But yeah, like I think with Astatine, actually, we're gonna have to worry about night at some point, probably. And I'm going to make it so that, I mean, you guys can make your, alertness checks or whatever it is, and potentially see stuff, but because of the darkness, I will make it like harder to see stuff, right? Like that just makes sense. And so I'm hoping to kind of use that element in that campaign because it's specifically like a part of it, right? Considering it is technically more horror, quote unquote, right? But it makes sense.
Well, then I'll be sure to let Aiden and Brogan know that we will definitely need to stay indoors at night.
Right. I mean, hey, you want to stay indoors at night? I also have plans for that.
Oh, never mind.
This is the thing. I have plans for mostly everything.
No, a prepared DM? What?
It's more I have a loose framework that I can work around in any situation.
Yeah.
Prepared? What do you mean? I don't know what that is.
That's not how we operate here.
No.
So it's very easily negated. If you want to implement something that obscures vision, even just a little bit, then you can pull from some of these other factors, which are also going to be a lot more themed towards specific environments. In a barren waste, you might have dust clouds that are kicked up by winds. And on the ocean or near a lake, you might have heavy fogs or mists. However, all three of those things can really be found just about anywhere as long as it makes sense. If you're in some sort of desert, you could also have sandstorms. If you're in a tundra or any sort of Arctic area, you can have blizzards, both of which are going to either completely black out vision or heavily impact it to the point where maybe they can't see past 20 feet or so. If your players are in a forest, it may just be something as simple as very thick brush. And if they're in a swamp, then it could be heavy gas clouds, which are continuously coming up from these swamp waters. When you're using these environmental factors that affect vision and how far the players can see, you can also tweak it to a longer or shorter distance depending on what you want. Instead of just saying that, okay, anything around you you can't see, and so every single attack is made at disadvantage or some sort of penalty, then combat might kind of drag on a little bit. Whereas if you say instead that you can see out to a distance of 20 feet, and after that you can't see anything, then it's obviously going to make it so melee fighters are going to be at a huge advantage in this scenario, whereas spellcasters or ranged characters are really going to be at a severe penalty, and especially for spellcasters, because a lot of spells require that they see the target or wherever they are casting a spell.
This helps a lot with balancing encounters as well. Like, I can think that you could even have bandits be more of a like just regular old bandits be more of an issue for a party if they are familiar with the terrain, and so they're familiar with their environment, and they use these kinds of storms or whatever kind of natural phenomenon in order to sneak up on people and like take them out. Like if you do it to if you have them, rush the wizard from behind and the archers and stuff, and then be up in their face and making them all, oh no, while they have like a guy who's right there in front, like distracting, as part of the plan, right? You make them use this dense fog or whatever as a tactical advantage.
And the other thing that you can do is we'll use bandits again. If the bandits are familiar with the area and like this is their haunt, you can have, like, let's say they're walking through like a small gulch or something. There's like trees on both sides and it's like very, very dark out. You could absolutely have like, or maybe it's not pitch black, but it's like dusk, and they're in the trees, and have them have some kind of a marker in like the pathway or somewhere in the pathway, so that way they let's see, what am I trying to say here? Because like this thought came to me and it sounded smart in my head.
Are you saying that they have a marker as a frame of reference? So
yes.
they know exactly where they are in relation to it at all times.
Say they have like a gold coin sitting on a rock that you can't see from the path. And they've practiced shooting at that coin, and they know the exact distance, and they know exactly how to get their arrow to go to that rock.
Yeah.
to that coin. So now they are experienced in shooting to that distance,
Yeah.
regardless of daylight.
Ooh,
Or
okay.
something like that. And
That'd
since
be
it's a gold
interesting.
coin, it's like shiny. So in the dusk, they can still kind of see it.
Right,
And
right.
again, since it's on a rock higher than the path, you can't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could have it where players can see the random gold coin. They're like, huh, why is that there?
Right.
And then that
it's
kind
an
of
enticing thing.
Yeah, it's an enticing thing, and it also kind of goes a tiny way to explaining how they're able to be so accurate at
Right,
night.
right. Yeah. That totally. But restarted my phone. It seems to have been working. That's good. I think the word Boo is looking for is landmark. Yeah, could it also
Yeah,
be
there we go.
landmark
That's a
works.
better one. Thank you.
But yeah, absolutely. Having your enemies, this works for bandits, this works for like kobolds, this works for goblins, any kind of sentient creature. Having them have this kind of plan for these kinds of areas will really add a lot to the believability that these people are actually successful bandits if you want them to be, right? You have them looking smart and actually using what they can do, and have this practice that is implied because of it, and like your players might not notice it, but you did.
Yeah exactly.
And your brain did, and their brains did, but they don't know that yet.
And it's always a lot more satisfying to be able to say, no, I didn't just make them more accurate because I wanted them to be. They are more accurate because of a logical thing that I came up with.
Exactly.
That actually makes sense.
Absolutely.
That always just feels better to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And like it even works for like if that encounter's over and you're never gonna worry about that bandit camp again, you can explain it to them afterwards if they're questioning you, And then you can, and then they go, oh, and then you go, heh.
Yeah.
As far as terrain goes, you can implement cracked earth or crumbling structures or just really anything on the ground that's going to mess up characters' movement in really any sort of environment. However, if you want something more themed, then in a swamp you may have the water be a little bit deeper, and so a player is up to their knees. Or maybe it's only up to, half their legs, but a small character, such as a halfling or a goblin, is going to be difficult terrain for them because it's maybe up to their waist. It may be that you have very deep snowdrifts, or in a forest, maybe just thick brambles or creeping vines which cover the entire floor. The placement of the difficult terrain and how much you use is also going to have a major impact on how the battle unfolds. If you just have a few squares of difficult terrain here or there, it's probably not going to really do much, considering, that maybe it just decreases their movement by 5 feet. But if you're battling in an entire swamp where just the entire area is difficult terrain, or the players are battling in a desert where they're constantly sinking into the sand, and so again, every single time they're moving, it's all in difficult terrain, that's going to have a much bigger impact, as opposed to the last one with vision, with, heavily obscured past 20 feet or something. In this case, it's very much going to benefit the ranged characters, whereas the melee characters may have to use their action to dash, or may have to wait several turns before they can even make an attack.
Both of these examples help with your if you're worried about having the players have their characters kind of stand out more because of what they've chosen to be. Like if you have somebody being specifically just a ranged character, have them be more useful in those circumstances in order to like make sure that they also have that mindset that they are balanced with the fighter who is always up in there, right? And I don't know. I've seen this as a thing for some people of like, the fighter's really good and I'm just bad. It's one of those things where they can't get it out of their head that they also have that usefulness to the team. And if they're having that kind of doubt, using something like this would be very helpful. But I would also say with this difficult terrain kind of example, I don't like the idea of everything being difficult terrain all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be, no.
Right. So, and like you could make it so there are stretches where there aren't, but they have to get to that point through the difficult terrain, or they have to get to something that is on that stretch that is they started in difficult terrain and they have to get to that, or they have to go to that difficult terrain in order to stop whoever it is, right? There. But having it so that they are just always having to deal with it. Like, it works in certain circumstances, absolutely, but I think it becomes frustrating after a while, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I have all this movement, I want to go, right?
Yeah.
And again, it obviously depends on your table, right? It depends on how frustrated they could get and how quickly they could get frustrated. You know, if you're the DM, you know that better than I would about your table. But if you're a player, you also know your personal tolerance level.
Yeah, like annoyance threshold.
Right, exactly. And so obviously if that's happening a lot, you talk with your DM and you go, "Hey man, so
stop it."
We get in the difficult terrain all the time, and man, I hate not moving. God, it's really annoying.
Yeah,
like,
because
I've
then
been okay with it a couple of times, but
the problem arises when you've got difficult terrain, but the enemies are not affected by it because they're used to it.
Yeah.
Or they are a certain type of enemy, like a spider doesn't really care about rocks, you know?
Absolutely. And like, I understand, you know, having that be that thing that balances your combat more, or makes it so that the enemy is stronger and stuff. And again, absolutely use it if you want to use it. Not saying not to, just saying sparingly, or at least, you know, not as often as possible. And having it so that it even works as like a funnel of some kind if you need, right? Like, if you need them to be in this certain area, like say they're going through a swamp, you have these raised land bridges, quote unquote, right? That they are walking through, and that's where you want them to go, because they know going through the swamp, like straight through the swamp, is gonna be a little dicey. It's gonna take them forever, and it's gross, right? But it and then like your encounter that you want there, or whatever you want there in general, I don't know why I say encounter and then don't think of it as a social encounter as well, but it is technically also an encounter. Anyway, so whatever encounter you want there, can happen at least to get them to that point, unless they are, you know, being very clever and going, I'm actually gonna surf across the swamp somehow, you know, with the power of the
jump
wind.
On my shield and shit.
Right, exactly. Like, and then it's like, whatever. Okay, we're doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think using it as a way to guide your players more so than have them be too hindered in a lot of cases is better, personally.
So that is also something that you should keep in mind, and also something that the monsters would be aware of. You could also say that while the players may be at a disadvantage in the swamp, the lizard folk who live there and are accustomed to moving around in that kind of terrain,
there we go,
aren't affected by that difficult terrain, and so their movement is just the normal speed. Moving on to forced movement, this is going to be any sort of effect where your players have to make a saving throw, and on a failure they are pushed or pulled in a certain direction, whether that's 5 feet, 10 feet, 15, or maybe even 20 feet, depending on what you feel is best for that scenario. This could be something like having slippery ice covering a slope, where if they're trying to climb up the slope but they fail that dexterity saving throw, they slide all the way back down to the hill, and they have to try again to get back up. It could be that they're trying to cross a river, they're fighting something in a river, and there's a strong current or an undercurrent, possibly even that's pulling them under. If they're out in the ocean, this might be a whirlpool that's pulling them towards the center, and they have to make athletics checks to try to swim out of it. If your players are up in the mountains, this could also be strong winds that are threatening to blow them back down the mountain, or possibly even off the side of a cliff. Especially with the forced movements, these are things that can possibly move them into other things of danger. It could be something that's moving them into a hazard of sort, or just away from wherever that they are trying to go. Alongside forced movement, you also have impelled movement. These are scenarios where your players don't have to make any sort of saving throw to avoid being moved, but it's going to be very beneficial for them to avoid areas or stay in areas, whether that's a zone of safety or a zone of danger. For a zone of safety, the best way to explain it would be if you've ever played Plague Tale Innocence. In the game, you have just these massive swarms of rats, which will almost kill you immediately if they get onto you, but if you have a source of fire, they will stay away from that. Right. So a radius around any source of fire is going to be a zone of safety, and if that source of fire is moving, then your players are going to be very impelled to stay near it so that the rats don't swarm them.
It's the Mines of Moria, basically.
Yeah, it's that too.
That whole, well, technically it didn't happen in the movie, but I'm thinking of Lego Lord of the Rings. If you remember, if you ever played that.
No. But... Okay.
So
what happened? Was it goblins or was it?
Yeah. Well, one of the levels is Moria, right? And in it, you have to stay with Gandalf, who is like casting a shield and like keeping all the giant hordes of goblins away, and then some get through, and you have to kill them. And that's what it reminds me of, and I don't know. It just keeps. It's popping in my head.
That just keeps coming back to you.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. It's an okay game.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's fine. I've never heard anything particularly bad about the Lego games.
So I hate Lego Harry Potter. I don't have a rational reason.
Okay. That's fair enough.
I just really don't like it.
That's fine.
And then everything else has been okay, except for Lego City Undercover PD or whatever the fuck. Or Lego
never
City
even heard
Undercover.
of that one.
Yeah, it's an older one. It relies on reference humor a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it feels like Family Guy.
Oh, good.
Which in itself is a reference. But but yeah, it's literally like, hey, do you know? Oh fuck. What are their actual names? It's like a buddy cop duo, and they're in a nicer car.
Lethal Weapon?
No. Nicer car. It's like 60s, I think, or it's
Smokey and the Bandit?
No. Fuck. Something in Hooch?
Turner and Hooch.
No, that's the dog, isn't it?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you said Hooch.
That's true. No, Hutch. Starsky and Hutch, I think.
Oh, yeah, Starsky and Hutch.
Starsky and Hutch. I don't know them besides the name, and this game is made for children.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Okay. Why are you here?
Yeah.
What is
why are you throwing this at me?
Like it's even a part of the story. Like they're just there as part of your people that you have in a mission one time.
That's weird.
And like, oh yeah, it's strange. Anyway, not great. I don't like that game. I 100%ed it. I hated myself every moment.
Okay.
I can't not 100% Lego games. It's not possible for me.
Is it just too easy to do it?
Well, it's just, I don't know. It's part of it, you know? Like ever since I played Lego Star Wars way back, right? When I had it on the PS2, I still have the disc, right? But I played Lego Star Wars and I was like, oh man, this is fun. And I like collecting things because I play a lot of collectathons. And so I'm going to do it. And then I just never stopped.
Oh. Welp.
So every time I get a Lego game, I'm like, well, here we go. It's time.
Oh boy.
Yep. Good evening, gents. Too long have I gone without upturning tables, but now I return. Let no table think itself safe from my nerdery. Hello, Steely.
Hello. Jesus. That's quite a fucking intro.
That's a good entrance. How's it going?
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyway, my point was gonna be using these kinds of you have to be in this certain area or you'll get hurt or something will happen, right? It's another good way to shepherd your players into something if you really need them to.
Yeah.
Obviously you want it to make sense.
Yeah.
Obviously, whatever is outside has to be dire enough that it actually makes them stay. Though that's hard.
It's like you hold up like a torch of some kind.
Yeah.
Or some kind of magic thing, and it creates a bubble of air around you, and all around the rest of the room is either like toxic gas, or you're descending down into the fucking ocean.
Absolutely.
And if you step outside, you get crushed by the ocean.
Yeah, totally.
That'd be awesome.
How's it going, JR Sonic? What's up? But yeah, so I like the idea. It it could feel kind of railroady at times, but obviously you just got to make it make sense. Like, if it's like an artifact or, like you said, some kind of magic thing that they have to take and fucking do the thing, like, this is how they do it. Obviously, they're not gonna, be too upset about it, because that's what you got to do, unless they figure out something else that they could do, right?
But then they can do that.
Exactly. This is one of those things where you have it as an option in such a certain area that it works. And it's something they could find and do, and it's like an easy thing to find or do if you really want them to use it, or you have it just be one of the things they could find, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so neat idea. See what else we got.
As far as of danger, this doesn't necessarily have to be moving, but it could be that they're fighting out on a frozen lake and they see a patch of cracking ice.
Okay,
they're not going to immediately fall through if they walk onto that area, but there may be a chance that if a second person joins them out onto that area of cracked ice, that it will fall through and they'll end up in the freezing cold water then.
This could also work in your difficult terrain kind of example, right? Where technically it's not like it is. Let's say they're in a desert and they're on like rocks and such that are like kind of in the desert itself, and you could walk on the sand all you want, but you give them that hint of like you see tremors beneath the sand, like something is moving, right? So you could do it, but
here's hoping nothing happens.
Right, exactly. And every time they do it, you roll a die. And then and even if it's like you have like a set time when things will actually come up or whatever, you just roll a die every time and you give them a good little heart palpitation.
Yeah, pretty much.
I like that idea.
So again, this doesn't necessarily have a save where if they fail, they get moved, but it's something where they either want to avoid this area or stay in it. As far as effects that knock creatures prone, I couldn't think of too many that make sense, aside from things such as ice or grease, which create a slippery surface that obviously any creature moving across has a chance of falling prone on.
You know what you could do? I've got one. How about you're traveling through a forest and an enemy is like a giant squirrel, and you just upset the squirrel and it throws a whole ton of acorns at you, and then it starts fighting you.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, hell,
you make
squirrels gotta eat.
Yeah. You could make it be whatever. I mean, like, you could make it even be like fucking booze at a tavern, right?
Yeah.
Where you upset people and they start fucking throwing drinks at you or whatever, and then it's all over the floor, and then it's kind of slippery.
Now it's slippery.
Yeah. Or like somebody has a fucking a keg, excuse me, and then you upset them and it falls over and like goes all over the floor, and you go, fuck, right? And then you have a little fight. In the video game The Long Dark, wolves would sometimes stalk you from more than one direction. When they did this near thin ice, you might end up being forced towards it. You have a choice between the two perils. There you go. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool. I'm so laggy. I'm sorry. On my end, I'm not dropping any frames. It might be just internet on your end. I apologize, but there's not much I can do about that. Because I'm green as fuck now. So here we go, I guess. If you can put your resolution down, try it. If that's not a choice that you can make, I apologize. I have this on ultra low latency for the streams so that we can respond in a real amount of time, or at least as
like
close
a reasonable
to as we can.
amount of time.
Yeah.
Quake though, the ground shaking, they may need to make a dexterity saving throw to avoid falling prone, or also something like getting caught up in a landslide or an avalanche, or even like a mudslide. That can possibly also move them and knock them prone. In the same way that your players can actually take advantage of all of the environmental obstacles that I mentioned before. Moving on to hazards, these are things that can both hurt and help the party. If the first one here is falling hazards. It's anything where the players are in danger of falling and taking falling damage. That can be a crumbling cliffside, just a narrow ledge that they're standing on, or even a rickety bridge. if you combine this with any sort of forced movement effect, whether that is a spell that one of your players is casting, or maybe just very strong winds, then that can be that they are able to defeat enemies by just knocking them off that cliff, or maybe your players are at risk of also falling off that cliff. So especially these hazards here, these are things that can both help and hurt them. For consistent damage hazards, these are going to be likely some sort of hazard that is in a set location that your players are likely going to be avoiding, but can also technically take advantage of, or possibly be put in danger of, depending on how the battle goes. This could be an acid pit, a lava pit.
Yeah, something that I want to stress, I guess, is that all of these suggestions, all of these terrains, everything there, like, unless you have them specifically made so that your enemy or whatever setting or encounter you're planning for has a way to cope with them easily enough, like, and that is the purpose, so that it's like fighting something in its natural habitat, right? Unless that is the case, otherwise you want to make this shit universal. And, like, you want to make it so that it will affect everything, basically.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, and obviously, you know, you give everything the same chance. Like, the party starts a fucking avalanche, right? They're on the side of a mountain. They start an avalanche because they're like, there's a lot of dudes here. We got to get rid of some of them, right? And so, to withstand the avalanche, I would call for a Constitution saving throw. Because it's not necessarily that you aren't going to keep your balance. It's more the fact of withstanding the force of snow fucking hurtling towards you, I would say. Maybe if it continues for a while, also doing a dexterity saving throw the next turn, right?
Yeah.
That way you incorporate both those kinds of things, because the first thing is like having you brace for impact. And then the second turn would be, okay, it's on my feet and it's keeping going.
Yeah, it's not stopping right now.
Exactly.
It's bad.
So, and then if, like, let's say we have snow bandits, I guess we'll keep using bandits. All the snow bandits are there, and I would have them all do the exact same thing.
And they've got snowshoes.
Yeah, well, if they had snowshoes, then, well...
Then they're invincible. Fuck.
Right, exactly.
They just surf on it.
That's true. But no, so, like, in that case, even if I gave them snowshoes, I'd be like, fuck it, yeah, right? You're still gonna get hit by snow. You might...
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If anything, that might be worse, because snowshoes slow you down so much.
That's true. That is true. So, like... Obviously, in those kinds of instances, make it so that, like I said, universal, it will affect whatever's in the area, unless they're not in that actual, like, area, right?
Yeah.
You can have some things, like, not even get affected by something, obviously, but consistency and all of that shit.
Yes.
Even just a spike pit. It could be maybe a spinning trap or a swinging axe trap. Maybe they even had to get through those to get into the place where the battle is taking place. And maybe they want to try to kite the enemies back through there, or they have to be afraid of the enemies pushing them into that space where the hazard is. This could also be something as basic as just some thorny brambles, where your players don't even realize that it's a hazard until they start moving through it, and they start taking 1d4 piercing damage for every 5 or 10 feet that they cover.
I'd say it depends on bramble, in that case. Yeah. Because, I don't know about
I
you.
appreciate that he said 1 to 4 or 1d4 for every 10 feet.
Oh, okay. I didn't see.
He did. Oh, yeah. He said for 10 feet.
But even so, I would.
I would say like half a d4.
Yeah, I was gonna say like even then I would even go like if we're really working on brambles being the thing that is the hazard. Are we not wearing armor? Are we not? Wearing clothing, like I feel like
some sharp fucking brambles might do.
Right, exactly. That's my problem. That's my point, right? Unless these are like fucking steel brambles, right? Like they are as sharp as steel. And while you're walking through them, because fuck it, magic, I guess.
Right.
Like it's just some magical bramble plant. But if not, then I would go. Well, you're in heavy. Yeah, you're in heavy plate. You're gonna be fine. You're in medium armor, you'll probably be okay. You in the fucking padded leather, like with your clothing, like you put pillows up under your fucking your clothing to make it so you don't get hurt as much. Yeah, no, those brambles are probably gonna hurt you a little bit. Don't get infected. Right.
If your players are fighting another plant monster, like maybe a twig blight, maybe that when they're moving through it, those monsters don't take damage because they're a plant.
Yeah.
But when your players start moving
Plants
through it,
can't
they're
hurt
trying
other
to
plants.
pursue
I was
those
gonna say,
monsters,
Just ask
and
fungi.
they take that damage. That's a very one-sided hazard that you could definitely implement. In the same way, if you have the ground on fire and your players are fighting something that's immune to fire damage, then they can fully take advantage of that obstacle. In a swamp, you might also have gas clouds, which are hovering above the swamp water and which are on top of obscuring vision. If your players move through this, they may have to make a Constitution saving throw or be poisoned. If you have a creature such as a grung, which is immune to poison, they would also be taking advantage of that area. You might, again, the final one that I think I have written down for this one is molds. There's a whole list of molds in the Dungeon Master's Guide, which are actually very dangerous. I think especially brown mold just gets bigger and bigger every time it takes fire damage. So if your wizard just happens to cast Fireball unknowing that or not knowing that there is mold there, then that can actually create a much bigger issue than it originally was. Random damage hazards are going to be...
I like the idea of having something that acts exactly the opposite of what you're going to be like trying to do. Right?
Yeah.
You see mold and you go, some fire will take care of that.
Nope.
It works. It keeps growing.
Yeah.
Who was it? I was talking to somebody, and they were talking about this specific mold, and they were like, "What if you just took a lot of it and you just threw it into the plane of fire?"
Yeah, that's like the I remember that was like basically a nuke, theoretical nuke. It's not because it's like
well, I would think
it's an exponential growth, but the thing is, the stuff that grows from point 1 does not grow more.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It has to expand naturally
to
get to that point.
Yes, yeah,
and
absolutely.
the fire expansion growth dissipates after a point.
Right. I was gonna say the conservation of fucking mass. Right. Like you literally like this tiny pinprick of mold is not gonna become a planet. Right. Like that doesn't. Yeah. That doesn't happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
it just doesn't work that way.
You could go magic mold, and then I would go, okay.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
but even then, if you dive into the text, it makes sure that can't happen. Yeah, effectively it does.
All right.
They don't be like, the text, it doesn't say like, if this goes in the plane of fire, it doesn't grow forever. It doesn't say that in so many words, but it does effectively establish that it can't do.
There is a limit. A
limitation.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So what is this? Oh, this is Fails and Flails. He's talking about environmental hazards. Yeah.
A little bit more erratic. I was only actually able to think of 3 examples for this one, but I can guarantee you there's more. The first one would be some sort of cyclone or twist or tornado, where obviously it's there and your players know that they don't want to move into its space, but maybe each round at the top of initiative you roll a d8, and depending on what you rolled, that determines the direction that it moves for that round.
Sure.
And so the players may be fine where they are, 30 feet away, but suddenly the tornado takes a quick turn towards them, and now they're in a bit of danger. For the next one, lightning strikes, which
I would say even more with that, to make it more dangerous, have it move like 30 feet in a direction like every time. So you do the d8. Sorry, not my words are not correct. Okay. So you roll your d8, you pick the direction because of it, and then it moves 30 feet that round. It moves 30 feet the next round, and then after that you do another d8. So it is a full turn of movement, or 2 turns of movement, so that it can actually be a threat for longer. Technically could also just not even be a threat at all. But if it turns around suddenly, right, it's like swirling around and then it goes north and all your party's south and you go, woo! But then it turns around and goes south now, and it goes all the way south, and then it turns around again. Then it's like, oh, okay, so it actually is going this way. Oh God. And plus I say giving it both of those turns to do it kind of makes sense to me because it's a fucking tornado. It's fast.
Yeah.
You can't like it. Woo. it's gonna
You'll
go.
have to get lucky. It's possible, but you'll have to
Yeah.
get very lucky.
And I guess in that way, maybe I would then say, okay, you make it move like 60 feet in a direction, and then you do the next direction or whatever, right? Like it will zigzag everywhere, and like you can keep doing it every round that way. But like, I'm just thinking of it being like, let's say it's 120 feet away, and like every turn or every 2 turns, it will come closer or go farther away, right? And most of the time, I feel like it's just gonna go away, and it will never affect your players at all. So you started in the path, and then it goes that way for enough that it's like, okay, it's close by enough that it'll, oh no, but then it turns and goes north, and goes into the sunset, and everybody goes, whoo!
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's what I feel like would happen, but you never know.
Can really implement anywhere, and again, roll for randomness to see where the lightning strikes. It may be that lightning never actually strikes a player or a monster or anything like that, and just keeps striking the ground. And then for fire,
I like the idea of that.
Lava.
Yeah,
I love the idea of a lightning storm.
Well, it's basically well, not actually. So I was gonna say it's basically the call lightning spell, but call lightning is actually something that you can say,
control.
This actually will hit the things. But yeah, having it be just a random fucking lightning storm that actually is like maybe supercharged because of like the wizard on the mountain is like, fuck you, town. Right?
And like every single lightning strike is effectively the same damage as lightning bolt.
Right, yeah.
In that one spot, or maybe like close by it.
Right. Well, I would say a direct hit is full lightning bolt damage.
And then everything adjacent to it is half.
Yeah, either
That's
half,
what I would do.
Yeah, either half, or they have to make a dex saving throw, right?
Yeah, dex save or half.
Yes, exactly. Miscellaneous says, did you know that Garibay and the stop posting about Among Us guy are the same person? What?
Who's the
stop posting about Among Us guy?
Yeah.
I've never heard about that guy.
Me neither.
Okay, we'll do some research. Hold.
Okay.
Stop posting about wow, it's the first. Okay. Stop posting about Among Us. It's on YouTube. Is it the YouTube video? Oh. Wait.
Is it him?
No, it can't be. This can't be him. No, it's not.
Oh, no?
I don't think so. Let me go look at the actual face.
Garibay looks pretty fucking distinctive, for better or worse.
There's a 10-hour version of this.
Holy shit.
Oh, it's not. No, that's not Garibay. Okay. It's just some other guy.
I see.
Disproven. All
right.
He looks at least a little similar. I can see the misunderstanding, but not him. Sorry.
If you're in a volcano, you might have a bunch of spouts on the battlefield, and they randomly erupt at different intervals, and maybe it's just if you're standing on top of it, if it's just a small geyser, or if it's like an entire spout, then maybe it shoots up and rains down in a 10-foot radius around it. And because there's a whole bunch of them just kind of littering the ground, your players don't really know where it could possibly end up next. So with a random damage hazard like that, it kind of takes out some of the possibility of really planning, but does add a little bit more excitement to it.
With something like that as well, like these random damage things, I would definitely want to have a saving throw beforehand, because I don't want to just randomly go, oh, you took damage, by the way.
Yeah.
And then they go, what? And then you just go, yeah, you just took damage. Sorry. There's a fucking geyser there that you didn't notice, right?
Yeah, no, you can't have that.
Right, exactly.
If you're going to have something like that nearby, you need to establish it, or make sure that they know what they're walking into.
And, like, obviously, beforehand, you would go, oh, yeah, you see the geyser field that you walk across is, like, erupting every now and again, here and there, right? But I don't like the idea of just saying, like, and I don't think that's what he's implying. I'm just saying, in general, this is something you want to do. It's just like, the geyser's about to go off, you feel the rumbles, make a dexterity saving throw, right? To get out of the way. And then they do. Or don't. But even with those kinds of things, I wouldn't want it to be like too much damage, right? Because
Yeah.
for like a geyser, I'd go like maybe like a D8, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it shouldn't be too bad.
It depends because it is boiling water.
True. So okay, well, then I would go up to a D10 because then I would say a firebolt cantrip is a D10 at base level.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, that's I would agree with that.
Yeah. So like have it be an equivalent in that kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Last group of damage hazards, these are the ones that have a tell. Your players know exactly when they're going to take effect, or they have at least a very good idea. This could be something like a cliffside that is crumbling, or a building or wall or ceiling, anything that's crumbling, and they can tell just by the way it looks that, maybe it's going to crumble in 2 rounds or 3 rounds. And so while they're probably safe there for right now, they definitely want to get out of there before that happens.
That's true. But I would say only if they were like they had the tool proficiency of like Mason's tools or something, right? Like I need them to have a reason why, or they're, I guess, ancestrally like their father was a Mason, right? Like I need something more than they look at it and they go, that would last 2 rounds or so. Right?
Yeah.
I look at a fucking rock wall outside now and I go, is that gonna fall?
Yeah, you could at least say, oh, that looks pretty unstable.
I would go like, oh yeah, you notice that this is an unstable wall, but I wouldn't go, and 2 rounds from now it'll fall down.
I would tell them this looks you look at it and it looks unstable, and then I would say, if you want to try to find out more about how unstable it is, roll investigate or search or whatever.
Well, so
and I would make it hard,
right? And I understand that. What I would say is, it depends the situation. If this is in the heat of the moment, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no.
But with investigate, that's you have to like get close to something and you have to actually like look
you have to really examine it,
right? And like I feel like
when I'm describing the situation that I'm describing, this is not in the middle of combat.
No,
this is
I understand.
Okay,
yeah. What I'm saying is, I don't know, even if you were to study something very hard and have no knowledge of like the ground, I guess not necessarily like having knowledge in geology, right? But like being familiar with this kind of thing, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know if even like a random person could look at something that's like a bunch of unstable terrain and look at it and go, this will collapse in a minute, right? Like,
well, I would never take it that far.
Right.
If they saw something and they said, no, this looks unstable, I'd like to investigate it.
Sure.
I would say that after examining it, you can tell that it's unstable enough to where it could be set off if enough people were standing on it, or if there was any sort of like altercation above it. That's all I would say.
That's fair. Yeah, because like the specificity of rounds would really just have to depend on the background or whatever of the character, right? Because in that case, I would go, oh, you're a geologist, right? Like, oh, okay. You know about erosion very well, right?
Another good one for this would be like a landslide, especially after an earthquake, where they see that this landslide is coming down the mountainside or the hillside, anything like that, and they know that they have maybe 5 rounds tops before they need to just completely evacuate the area. You can also
in those kinds of cases, let's say an avalanche is happening, right? And they're downstream of it, what I would say in those kinds of circumstances is I would give them a set like guesstimation, right? Where I would go, okay, you look at it, unless you want to like look at it more and try to judge based off of the distance from you to that tree or whatever, and then that, like, if you want to try to do that, that'll take your action, right, for you to do that. Otherwise, you 2 to maybe 5 rounds. You know, give them a wide estimate where it's like you're not sure, right? In that kind of respect. That's the only time where I would give like rounds, where it's like could be a minute away, could be a couple seconds away. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
There's not a good way to tell unless you really try. And even then I would specify it down to maybe closer to however long it's going to be, but not like anywhere near it, like entirely.
Yeah.
Basically choreograph a dragon's breath attack using this. Rolling a d6 every single round to see if its breath attack reloads. You may just say that it happens every 2 or 3 rounds. However, the dragon has to spend his bonus action or one of his actions or attacks to basically rear back and prepare his breath attack. Your players now know that that's going to happen on its next turn, and so they need to decide, do they want to try to get another attack in, or do they want to use their entire turn just trying to get as far away from that dragon as possible.
So they already have this mechanic. It's called recharging of breath. Now, I know it's metagamey, but it's the only way that it works right now. Do I think that there could be a better way? Yes.
Absolutely.
I don't know about telegraphing the fuck out of the attack, you know? Like, the whole purpose of having this breath is so that it comes out of nowhere. What I would do in these kinds of instances, instead of telling them, oh yeah, it got its breath back or not, right? Is give them a visual clue. So they use their breath, and then I'm rolling, and like after a while, I finally get it. And I would say, and then you see, as the dragon is surveying you all, you see the puffs of smoke now coming back out of its nostrils, right? Like something to indicate there's a fire coming. Instead of maybe going, oh, I rolled a 6, I got a thing, or oh, the dragon puts his fucking head all the way back. Right? You need something that's a little subtle that not everybody might get, because not everybody's gonna understand that the dragon can fucking breathe its fire breath again, you know? I feel like it's like some people might not see it as fair, but I think it's entirely fair.
No, dragons aren't meant to be fair.
Exactly, right? Well, so this is like they're fair. They are fair. They're fair in the way that they are an apex predator. Yeah. Right? Like, they're not gonna play fair.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, because they can fly, they can follow you wherever you want or wherever they want. Yeah, they're ridiculously strong. They're incredibly intelligent. They're very malevolent. They're very smart.
Can be.
Yeah. Whites aren't, but
they can be.
Yeah, but like, fuck's sake, man, dragons are not meant to be fun to fight. Right. Skyrim did them dirty.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. Like, the one thing that I will always take from my first DM was when he was talking about fighting a dragon, how if a dragon has ever landed, you have done something wrong. Like, in the sense of, as a DM, if you're running a dragon, like, the dragon wouldn't land unless it absolutely fucking has to. Yeah. Why the fuck would it ever get within a sword person's range?
It would not.
Right, exactly. Like, that's stupid, right? Unless you disable that dragon somehow, it will fly and burn you until it fucking burns you to a crisp. Right? Like, there's no reason for it to not do that unless it is running away because it doesn't care about you or you're too much trouble for it. Or you have shot the giant bow from Dark Souls into a dragon to put it onto the ground so that you can fight it.
Yeah.
You know, but anyway, dragons aside.
Yeah.
Using any of these effects is definitely going to make combat a lot more dynamic. However, once you start combining them, then it's also going to make it a lot more realistic as long as you implement it right, as well as much more of a challenge for your players. Let's say they're in that sandstorm or in that blizzard, and both of these effects are obviously going to affect their vision. Well, it would also make sense that if in that blizzard, they're probably taking repeated cold damage. Whereas if they're in that sandstorm, maybe it's piercing or slashing damage from these sands that are whipping around. If you're combining effects that are both difficult terrain and have the possibility of knocking them prone, then
I think with the damage over time from like a hey Pizza Funk, how's it going? With the damage over time from like a sandstorm or a snowstorm, it depends on how long they've been out there, right?
Yeah.
Because like and also like how prepared they were for it. If they go to the tundra and they were like, we're gonna buy, cold weather gear, I go, okay, you'll be fine unless like a very severe, snowstorm happens, and then I'll be like, okay, it's starting to get fucking cold, but you'll be good for like a few minutes. You'll be fine.
Yeah, you'll be good for a time.
Yeah, exactly. So obviously, like, I don't think this is what he meant to imply, but I don't like the idea of just immediately you're in a sandstorm. Hey, you're taking damage now. Hey, you're taking damage now.
I doubt he did, but yeah.
No, I doubt it too. I'm just saying like the preference would be after a time, because even in general, I guess for a sandstorm it would make no. Actually, I would take my thought back that I didn't even say. It wouldn't make as much sense for them to immediately start taking damage because, one, again, armor is a thing.
Yeah.
Clothing is a thing. Even if it's not the best clothing, it would, like, even if it's just regular clothing, it would get ripped up after a while, but it would still be protection a little bit. It might cut your arms up a little bit, but, like...
And it would be in your face and your eyes and your nose.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
So that would be bad, but that's the obstruction because you're putting your hands up to try to, like, not get fucking sand in your lungs. And all that. But, like, in that case, I wouldn't be like, oh, no, you're taking damage. I would go, you can't see. And then after a while, it's like, okay, you've been in this sandstorm for too long. Now, it has torn at your clothing. It has roughed up your arms to such a degree that you have raw skin. So now it's just hitting that. And now you're absolutely bleeding. Like, oh, fuck,
Now it's a bad time.
Yeah, now it's a real bad time. Yeah.
Once they get knocked prone, then their movement speed basically be halved twice from having to stand up, and then also the difficult terrain halving it again. And so their mobility is going to be greatly limited in that scenario. You can also combine nearly all of these in an interesting and realistic way. If your players are up on a mountainside when an earthquake occurs, then they have the issue of possibly being knocked prone every time the original earthquake or an aftershock appears. You have the difficult terrain being introduced because the ground is cracking and splitting apart. If that's happening, there's probably rocks falling from above. That's a hazard they have to look out for. The ground may collapse underneath them and they may fall off the ledge, even if that's just 20 feet. You may also have landslides, which have a possibility of knocking players off, dealing more damage to them, and possibly even burying some of them. And so the other players have to go back and help unbury or get the rocks off the other players before they can continue. You now have this combat encounter with absolutely no monsters, but your players are still in a rush to either find a cave to try to hunker down in or get off the mountain because they realize that they are in a lot of trouble at the moment.
The environmental encounter is a very strong way to make them understand, like, your journey is treacherous.
Yes, and that the world is dangerous.
Yeah, like, being outside is fucking scary. Why are you out here? Stop.
Yeah, who the hell goes outside?
Right,
fucking goblins and shit out there.
Yeah, get out of there. It really adds to that whole adventure feel because you, like, we've talked about it before, but becoming an adventurer isn't just a thing that you do.
It's not just a random whim.
Right, exactly.
Unless it is.
Well, it very much could be, but then usually those kinds of characters go, hey man,
this kind of sucks.
This kind of sucks, and I wasn't prepared for this, and also, I've watched a man cut my arm a lot, right? Like, and then they start going, I don't know if I want to be here, or they rise to the challenge, and they go, okay, all right, I can do this. Fuck, I needed this wake-up call. Let's do it, right?
Yeah.
It's, or you take it in whatever direction you want. All right, guys, I need to cook rice. See you later. All right, see ya.
Nice.
Enjoy your rice.
Yes.
With a major widespread environmental environment, I assume, that is specific to a certain geography, like a sandstorm and a particular desert, you can give the players the rules of it through dialogue with local NPCs. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
It's important to obviously establish all of these things beforehand. Absolutely. Let's say the easiest way is to show the culture of the area, I would say. You have, let's say, we'll go with the desert example. So, the edge of the desert, before you go too far in, there's a town. And you see the construction of this town being, mostly, we'll say, limestone, sandstone, whatever, adobe even. And, you also see a bunch of people that are wearing layers when they are, part of a caravan, let's say. You have traders that are there that are wearing layers, right? Like they have goggles on that they have made specifically in order to combat the sand that's gonna get in their fucking eyes, right? They wear fucking scarves around their necks that they pull up and such, like all of that kind of stuff. Plus you can have we can even have like a big animal that is carrying water as well, and they constantly are drinking water. Like it's just a thing that they do all the time, right? Like you have these environmental thing, or not necessarily environmental, but it is environmental things of this town that really tells you these people are here and they live here because they've adapted to this, and they use all this stuff for a reason, right? And then you can have an NPC go, hey man, if you're going in the desert, you might want to get some desert gear, because I'm looking at you. Yeah, whoo, you're not ready. Don't you dare go out there without anything. All right? Yeah. Right? So you
unless you don't want to come back.
Right. Unless you really want to fucking get lost and die, you should go in the shop over there and get some desert gear. But you can have that NPC do that, or you can, leave it as a thing that they might find out through questioning, or you can just have it be that whole thing of they see this town, and if they don't pay attention to it at all, that's when you have the NPC go, okay, hey man, what are you doing? Right, you have the guard at the gate go, what the fuck are you doing, dude? Stop.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you can have them figure it out on their own, and then they go, oh,
that was a good idea.
I like that you have paid attention to the fact that these people are living in the fucking desert, and they gotta deal with this shit.
Doing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Right?
What? No.
What? No.
What? No. No.
Or they don't, and then they never do it, and whatever. Then you just go, all right,
See, now,
you're in a desert, I guess.
What would be an interesting way to do it is imagine if people have a town or whatever in the desert, and it turns out that they're living there. They live there, and their ancestors are the ones that settled the town. But since they settled it, they've come up with some kind of way to protect the city entirely from the desert. Like there's some sort of a magic barrier around it that keeps the temperature at a comfortable 69 or 74 or whatever. And so these people that live in the desert have no idea how to survive in the desert because their city is providing everything for them. They have magical water wells or whatever. That'd be really interesting, actually.
No, that would be cool. It is a degradation of their technology to an extent. And
it's essentially like how safer cars make for worse drivers.
Sure, yeah.
Because the safer the car is, people can just say, well, the car is so safe, I barely need to drive safely because the car is what blah, blah, blah. That shit.
Right. The same exact kind of logic. Absolutely. And so, you got your adventurers coming in, and they go, "Oh my god, you came through the desert? What the fuck? Why would you? How the hell
did you do that,
dude? Just go over here. There's water, and we got the fucking walls. Stay here as long as you like. Don't go back out there. It's fucking
crazy
awful out there. What are you doing? Yeah, no,
that monsters and shit out there.
You're right. And
the only people that go out there are crazy, and then they point over to the inn, and it's just other adventurers.
Right, exactly.
It's just hey, what's up?
And then you just It's just stay in the dome. It's
Yeah.
just okay.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe that desert city now has like a cult dedicated to the person who erected the dome in the first place.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
And now it's like a religion where it's like, oh man, the gods, we pray to the gods all the time, but they don't do shit. This guy made a dome and we can live here safe and sound.
Sure,
we worship him now.
Yeah,
or
totally.
Her.
You can absolutely deify the guy who invented the dome.
Yeah. And now you've got a weird like cult town that's just full of like effectively Mormons because they're all super nice. They're all super nice, but they worship a fucking random dude.
Yeah.
So,
I'm playing Warframe with my brother, so I'll just be listening. Oh, no worries,
nice.
Mongoose.
Dude,
Enjoy
Warframe is good.
Warframe. Well,
yeah. It's good. Just wait until you get to the end game. That's when it starts to drag. Anyway. Yeah.
You can really combine a lot of these in different, unique, and interesting ways to create for difficult and more just different encounters. No matter how many times you fight orcs, if it's always in a different environment, then it's always going to be a different combat, and it's always going to be a unique challenge because you have all of these different effects and factors that are all playing a major part in a combat. So it doesn't matter if you're just fighting against regular orcs every single time. You can make every single combat encounter very unique in itself. And that's not even taking into account monsters that would just naturally use the environment to their advantage. Yetis, which you're obviously going to find in the Arctic, aren't going to be affected by the cold, and so the blizzard has less of an effect on them. If you're in a mountain, near a volcano, and so there's lava and fire everywhere, you might have a salamander who just hangs out in the lava because they're immune to fire, and so any of your melee players just can't reach them. If you're in that swamp and you have poisonous gas clouds everywhere, that's probably where the grungs are going to hang out, because again, your players know that if they try to go and attack those grungs, at least with melee, then they're going to have a chance of getting poisoned. Any sort of slippery surface or difficult terrain is going to be beneficial to monsters which have a flying speed, and so they can just basically ignore that altogether. However, once again, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. This video was by a special request, so if you have a request of your own for any topics, leave that down in the comment below and I'll be sure to get working on it. Nice. I'm already working on another puzzle video because I know those are popular. But if you did enjoy the video, also leave a like, share the video with your friends, and if you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I put out videos every week. That is all I've got. Oh, I have a Discord channel. It's pretty much dead. There's like maybe 3 members, but if you're interested in joining that, there is a comment or there's a link down in the description. But that is all I've got. Thank you for watching and have a great day.
Thanks. You too. I forgot what your name is. Damn it.
Flails and fails.
Yeah. Yeah, good video. I like that video.
Yeah.
Couple of contentions, but that was mostly just me. With just wording. Goods and services can also be affected. There might be local guides. There also might be restrictions, e.g., I'll rent you my horses, but not if you're going to take them into that sandstorm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is the thing. You gotta realize, as world building goes, right? If you really want to make something that is really like it makes sense and people do these things because it's the way that it works, you gotta go from everything, right? What do they trade? What do they need? What would be the jobs here? Like, what do they do to sustain themselves? What's the governmental structure of this place, right? Like, all these kinds of things are absolutely necessary, and I really like the idea of having these restrictions because of the way that they live. Absolutely. Having that, like, having the horse renting not be a thing if they're going towards a sandstorm. Absolutely. Like, we won't rent horses for another few weeks because there's going to be a big, bad sandstorm coming through, and I don't want to lose my horses.
Yeah, because we don't have a whole lot of horses around here.
Yeah, and if I rent them to you and they die and you die, well, how am I going to get my fucking horses back, right? Like,
and how am I going to get my money back?
Yeah, I'm going to be out of business. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, having those kinds of little things even would, like, they just, they're just great, just to experience, right? Even if it's not for technically the players, it is for you. you know?
Yes.
You know that it works well, and that should be enough. But that being said, that is the first video, so we are at the midpoint already. Didn't take too long because there wasn't really anything to disagree with.
Yeah, it's a good video.
It's a good video. Fails and Flails. You should go and check them out if you haven't yet. Check them out. Go subscribe and all that shit. Good stuff. So it's time to shout out and shill. Because that is what I am here to do in the midpoint.
Yes.
Let me bring this up. We have a new patron.
Oh,
we do. But we'll get there when the name comes. So we are brought to you, of course, by our lovely, lovely patrons. Thank you so much for providing us funds to go towards dice, so that we can make the dice. They are coming once we have the funding. So you can join the Patreon if you want at patreon.com/tabletalkdnd. It'll be in the description of the VOD when that comes up. It's also a thing in the chat, one of the fucking links that you can have happen with a command. That's the word. I was searching. And so, of course, we have to thank all of our patrons at the $5 and up dollar amounts, tier 2 and up. So that is, of course, a thank you to Draco Kraken up at that tier 4. Thank you so much. Mog Zero also at tier 4. Thank you as well. Slazer at tier 4. Thank you. Steely, been in the chat, hanging out since we started the Patreon at that tier 4. Thank you so much. And then, of course, Drake Cross at tier 3. Thank you as well. And at tier 2, we have Chris. Thank you. And Lux at tier 2. Lux is our brand new patron. Thank you so much.
Hello, Lux.
I don't want to butcher the first part of your name, but I'm going to. I'm sorry. Daimao? Is that? You can correct me. You know how to do that.
Leave it in a comment.
Exactly.
You always do.
Exactly. Have it spelled out phonetically so I can read it and not be a dumb. So I can say it better in the future. But thank you, Lux. Hope you continue to enjoy. And of course, Frozen Spaghetti at tier 2. Thank you very much. And Kill Chrono at tier 2. Thank you as well. All of you, thank you again. And without your support, we wouldn't feel as warm and fuzzy in our Christmas times.
Yes.
Or whatever holiday. Anyway. So yeah, 9 patrons. Feels good.
Yes.
Of course, other than that, if you don't want to do the Patreon thing, you can do the Table Talk logo on whatever from TeePublic. Because TeePublic has a bunch of stuff, and it has the old logo and the new logo. The old logo will go away when the new year happens.
Yes.
And some of the percentage of the revenue from the new logo will go towards the artist with every sale. And it's on sale right now, apparently, for another 4.5 hours or a little over that. Sorry, 4 hours and 45 minutes. My brain. So, oh, what is that?
Wow.
Oh, Steely donated, and it didn't show up. Why didn't it show up? What the fuck? Hang on. Don't worry. I'll fix this. Why is it not showing up? Oh! Wait. No, that doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna put it at the top here. and then I'm gonna do it again. But Steely tipped $5. Said, I like dice, possibly too much.
As do we all.
There we go. Okay, it came up. It just didn't do the animation or anything. Hey, I'm trying to use Stream Elements now because Streamlabs is scum.
Oh?
Yeah, if you didn't know, Streamlabs was just taking OBS's like stuff and just profiting off it and all that kind of stuff, and
that's not good.
They weren't doing the good things. I don't know the specifics. It was a bad thing when I read it, and I was like, oh, okay, I'll switch, easy.
Okay.
So, more information if you go and you can go look up their Twitter, and they tweeted about it and all that shit. But yeah, it's thank you, Steely, for that tip. Yeah. More, I mean, it's going towards the dice. It is going towards the dice. Other than that, of course, we have we are we're partnered with Humble Bundle.
Yes.
You can go over to humblebundle.com with our link that will be in the description, as well as it is a command. And you can go and buy what the fuck ever, and it supports us. In fact, right now, there's 2 Pathfinder fucking bundles that are going on right now. The first one being the 2nd edition Beginner's Bundle, which is the beginner box, which is the physical box. There is a copy of the PDF of the core rulebook, the bestiary, and a bunch of like adventure stuff, as well as the core rulebook for Starfinder, which is neat. Because it technically also takes place in the same world. It's just outside, you know? And GM screen and all this kind of good stuff. It's like 50 things for $50. $50.
A buck a thing.
Yeah, a buck a thing. It's and legitimately like it's $50 to get just the rule book itself if you want.
Yeah.
Like, or 50. It's probably more bucks to fucking buy the beginner box if I had to guess.
Probably.
So good deal. Do that. And also the other bundle there that I would promote right now is the Ultimate GM Kit for Pathfinder for Fantasy Grounds, which I'm thinking about getting because it seems pretty good. Fantasy
Seems
Grounds
like they're doing a whole lot of Paizo stuff lately.
Hey, I mean, yeah, because Paizo actually like allows their stuff to be bought in a PDF form.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. the stuff they do for like D&D is usually third-party things. Because they also let their stuff be bought on its own. But yeah, so $50 for 29 items, and this is all towards the Fantasy Grounds, the Unity kind of Fantasy Grounds what the fuck is it? Thing. It's like tabletop sim, but it's specific for TTRPGs.
Fuck.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can't call it to mind.
This is the second person in our chat who has said this message, and I feel like it's a bot thing. So that's cool. Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna do some investigation real quick here if I can. No, I can't. Okay. Well, anyway, I feel like that's a bot, but I'm gonna leave it because I don't fucking know. For sure. But I'll look up some stuff later. I won't read it because like fucking I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, these things, if you use our link, some of the money goes to us, some of the money goes to Tabletop Alliance, and some of the money, well, you can split it however you want. That's the best part about Humble. They just allow you to do whatever the fuck you want with your money. So go look at it.
Yes.
And apparently, if you pick up both bundles, you get $10 wallet credit for the Humble store, which is great. Hey,
nice.
That's cool. Anyway, so yeah, the link to these, or the link to the Humble link, with our partner thing will be in the description of the VOD. So look forward to that. You know what I'll also do since I was reminded? I will pimp our Discord. Hey.
Okay.
Are you a person? Well, I bet you are.
Yes.
I bet. Hey, come join our Discord. The link is in the description.
All persons welcome.
Yeah, all of you people that are people, or at least not bots, because I think they're fucking. There's another one in our chat
in
now.
here right now.
There's
We
another
don't
one
like
in
robots.
here, I think. Hey, be nice to bots. They are the future when Skynet takes over. I'm joking. Oh yeah. I know. But yeah. So I'm gonna. No, okay, I won't do that. Anyway, so yeah. You can come join and we hang out around it. We look at it. I'm thinking about promoting somebody to be the community manager of it. Who would actually like help me with setting things up and doing things. Because I want to actually start doing things and I'm not always around.
Yeah.
And I'm like the one who's around usually. But I'm a busy boy. So like getting set up with some 40k stuff in tabletop sim, or getting set up with maybe doing some TTRPG stuff at some point between people, and all that kind of stuff, potentially. So I will I'll have a thing. I'll put a thing on the server maybe this weekend. I'm busy. So maybe next weekend. And I'll put out like a little a call of, hey, do you want to
do some stuff?
Do you want to do some stuff? I'll be very happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll see. If nobody wants to, that's fine. I'll figure it out. It just means things take longer to happen.
Yes.
Anyway, so that being said, that is all of the shouting out and shilling that I think is necessary for now. Let us move on to the second video. So, this one is by Nerd Immersion.
Okay.
And it is called Weather Effects in D&D 5e. So this is specifically weather. So,
yes.
We will go right over to that as soon as I go here and take away this window and put this one up. Very good. Okay. Oh right. The fucking thing is there. There we go. Okay. So, weather effects in D&D.
Yes.
The second part of the thing we were going to cover today. It's only a 9-minute video, so we'll see what we get here.
Not that bad.
Let's talk weather and environmental effects in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. We know there's going to be a big, heavy focus on ice and tundra-themed terrain in the upcoming Icewind Dale Rime of the Frostmaiden.
Oh,
and I also know that is the reason why we received updates to the Triton race and will be receiving updates to the Goliath race. That's all answered in this section of the Dungeon Master's Guide. If you want to see more, including WotC official confirmation, stay tuned. Those of you asking, this book back here, Modern Dungeons. Yeah, so here it is. What's up, folks? Ted from Nerd Immersion here. I saw a lot of people were questioning this. It's called Modern Dungeon. It's from Panic Productions. They were nice enough to send a copy to me. It's on my list of things to review, and they actually sent it to me a while ago, and I feel really bad I haven't reviewed it. But it's a 5th edition rule expansion to take 5e to modern times.
Oh.
Anyway.
Oh,
okay.
Why?
It's like, fine. I don't see why not.
Yeah, it's always just a little bit weird to me.
Sure. Okay. Oh, another one. Wow. I love it.
This is the one what?
Bot, I think.
Oh.
Either
What's
that
he saying?
or it's
Is it like links?
No, it's just the same phrase but differently.
Oh.
Every time. I don't understand it. Anyway,
Is it like a creepypasta?
You know what? Let's do research right now.
Okay.
Because I need to put this down if this is a thing. Let's see. YouTube. Sorry, everyone. Yeah, okay. They're comment bots.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Do not engage with them. We go or unwanted content or spam. That's the one. Love it. You guys can see me do this. That's neat.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
They can see you being a narc.
Yeah, I can, yeah. Wait, let me make sure that I do this to the right. Okay. I just want to make sure I don't accidentally do that to somebody who actually matters. And there we go. Okay. I think we'll know it's creepypasta if there's a hyper-realistic blood effects. Yeah, that's true. And I went and I got my G.I. Joe, and he was bleeding hyper-realistic blood.
Oh my god!
Oh god! I love shitty creepypastas. They're so funny.
Yeah, they're so good.
Anyway, when did we get... does anybody know when we got confirmation about these changes and stuff? Because I don't remember there ever being changes to Goliaths and Tritons ever announced, though I didn't pay attention to like official things, so that might be just on me. But if somebody knows, if there was like a an errata that was put out that I just didn't know about, please let me know.
So let's talk about wilderness and weather and all that kind of stuff in D&D. So if we jump over to D&D Beyond, we can see in Chapter 5 of the Dungeon Master's Guide, it's called Adventure Environments. And there's a section under Wilderness Survival right here called Weather. And there you can see it'll tell you, if you're trying to figure out what weather to fit your campaign.
Oh, is this just going to be we're reading from the book?
It seems like it might be. This isn't really what we're looking for here.
Oh, damn it.
Yeah, that's not really much.
That's not helpful. I mean, I guess I mean, it's kind of helpful in the sense of I don't know specifically what the book says.
But, I mean, there's not, like, the thing is in 5e... Yeah, in 5e, there's so little that even what it says, we would be able to come up with more just on the fly. Exactly. So it's hardly even worth reading.
Damn. Okay. Well, let me see if I can find something else.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whether D&D. Boom. Do that. Sorry, everyone. I thought this was something that would be kind of entertaining.
Sorry, nerd immersion.
No, and it's informative and stuff, but it's not necessarily,
not what we're looking for.
No, not really. Oh, here we go. Using weather in your campaign from D&D Homebrew. It's a year old and it's got 228 views. Oh, that's sad.
Oh,
we'll see.
Sounds like my old channel.
Sounds like my current channel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see what they have to say.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
Neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night these couriers from completing their appointed rounds. We associate this phrase with the U.S. Postal Service and the delivery of the mail.
Yeah, because they're the real American heroes. Everyone knows that. God, they're the strongest of us all.
Yes.
In many ways, it can apply to players in a D&D campaign, because no matter what the weather or conditions above...
I feel like we've covered this person before, and I now need to make sure, because I don't want to be mistaken. Because I feel like we have...
I don't know. I don't remember his face.
It's like sparking a memory, but I'm not sure.
Sparking.
D&D home brew specifically. Oh, that doesn't help me. That didn't help me at all. Oh no. Yeah. Okay. Well, if somebody knows, let me know.
Okay.
But if not, I'm just gonna be pondering for a while.
Okay.
Below the they have to complete their tasks. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about the hows and whys of using weather in your campaign that makes it fun and not a drag.
Yes, I remember this intro. We totally have. I don't know what it was.
Hello again, KR King here, helping any and all run their own homebrewed campaign. You know, weather sometimes becomes an after effects when you're running a D&D world. If you run below ground, of course, the weather doesn't make much difference. But even above, it can be nitpicky and boring to sit there and roll the weather every day. And part of it is like, well, what difference does it make if it's sunny or a little cloudy in terms of the mechanics of the game, or even drizzling or whatever? Obviously, heavy downpours or blizzards make a difference, but you know, how often is that going to happen? And when you sit there and you roll weather every day, if you're going to do it realistically, you know, weather takes on gradations. You know, it gets cloudier, then it rains. You know, this sort of thing. You're not going to have extremes of sunshine one day, violent rainstorm, sunshine, snowstorm, whatever, right? So you feel like... Well,
unless you're playing Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Fucking hell. You're on Minecraft now, boy.
Yeah.
Just fucking,
as soon as you walk into the water, there's a sandstorm.
Yeah, exactly. Ah!
Fucking
tend
hell.
to base my campaigns in a Mediterranean type setting with climate. That way it doesn't make much difference. You know, the players in those areas, which are the main ones of the campaign, they don't worry about weather, they just worry about the creatures they encounter, you know, and the tasks at hand. But having said that, you can create all sorts of really interesting weather and atmospheric effects in your campaign.
Give me just a second. I need to address something.
Okay.
Hold on.
Who are you addressing it to? Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
All right.
Think about isolating them to certain areas. So an obvious example is if you have an Arctic setting. Why was it so difficult to, and especially the South Pole? The weather was brutal. So you can have super frigid temperature, blizzards and winds and everything that not only constrict the player's ability to see or to move, but they're very live. You know, even polar explorers or mountain climbers in modern gear can suffer the effects of extreme cold. So imagine players just having medieval gear. Now, the Dungeon Master Guide gives you some ideas about severe weather, the exhaustion rolls, which you can scale up or down depending on how extreme.
Man, exhaustion is so nothing, you know?
Yeah, it's honestly really not that good of a mechanic, in my opinion.
I wish there was something that, like, was different about it, right? Because
like it was just done better.
Right, it just makes sense that you would get tired after a while in some cases, sure.
Yeah.
But
there's no way to recover it other than rest. And
so I think with you can recover it with lesser restoration and greater restoration. That is a thing. I'm pretty
what
sure.
level are those spells?
Lesser is a 2nd level spell, I think.
Okay.
So it's not too bad. Let me make totally sure about that with my handy dandy apparoonie.
Okay.
And I think greater is 5th level.
Jesus. Okay. But okay, that's good to know.
Yeah. Okay, time for me to head off. Hopefully no sandstorms or blizzards will hit me. Actually, we're tornado country here. Thankfully, we weren't hit in the recent storm. Good night,
Yeah, well done.
Good
That's
night,
good.
Steely.
Yep, take it easy. Thank you for your money.
God damn it. Every time.
Every time.
Let me check. Resto will get me there. Yeah, level 2 and level 5. Fuck me. Okay. I've been waning in my D&D knowledge of things, but some things are still in there.
That's good. Because you've been starting to inject more fucking, what is it? Delta Green?
Yeah, that.
And you can only hold so much.
Yeah, it's well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that plus just in general I've not been paying as much attention to D&D anymore, you know.
Yeah. Shit's going down.
Yeah. But yeah, so I feel like with exhaustion with the way that you gain one after 24 hours if you fail a Constitution saving throw.
Yeah.
And then if you don't, you're fine.
Yeah.
For another 24 hours, and then you do it again. Like, it's so generous.
Yeah.
And like I think if weather was used a lot more, and if we were to use it a lot more, I feel like then we would see it a lot more, right? And like I guess if we wanted to make it work, we would have to work at like when it actually applies, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to do it too much and you don't want to do it too little, I would say.
Yeah. Sure.
Because at some point it could become annoying, right? But like having it so that you get tired to a point of like, oh, you can't do your fighting as well and all that stuff. I'm like, yeah, do that.
Yeah.
That's good, right? But it just never comes about. And I think it's just because
like, I think a big part of it is because at least in the games that we tend to run, there's never really much of a driving force that makes us say we have to keep going like right now.
Yeah.
There we are always like, oh, we're traveling? Okay, let's go until it gets dark and then we camp.
Right.
There's never really anything hounding us.
Right. If something had a time limit, then it would be like, okay, let's keep going. But even then, I feel like we would do it in such a way that it would be fine, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like most of the time with something like Arrest, even with the fact that there are 3 of us in like Devils and Dice, right? One person could be up for a certain amount of time. Another person could be up for a certain amount of time. Another person, and then you just have them rotate.
Yeah.
To like, if you're like driving a cart, let's say. It's easy to just go, okay, this person drives, and then this person drives, and then this person drives, and then this person drives, right?
Yeah, we're just well structured about it.
Exactly. Like, it's so easy to circumvent that kind of hurdle. Which makes me wonder if it's even a hurdle at all. If it's even, like, it's intended to be a hurdle. But like, resting is, sleeping is so easy. I don't know. I think...
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, I don't think we pay attention to the sleeping in armor rules as well. Because that technically also does give exhaustion, because you don't sleep as well in your armor. And so you get your rest, but you don't, like, you're not great, you know?
Yeah.
We also don't really pay attention to the taking off armor and putting on armor thing. Because...
Yeah. Donning and doffing, because it's just
donning
another
doffing,
procedure.
right. Yeah, even though we're very much like more realistic when we play these kinds of games, we're not like to that point, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's a certain amount of realism is good for us, but even like going to that extreme, it feels like an extreme in those regards, right?
Because at that point, when you start including every single little minutia,
every single thing, yeah,
it just starts to bog the game down and just make it go slow.
Yeah, exactly. And we're there for a fun time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, hell, the last time I remember, it was actually relatively recently, when I actually was concerned about my armor being on or off, was when I was playing as Aristo Stoutgut, the beaver man who died session 1.
Right, exactly.
So, like, I was walking around in, like, my fine clothing because he was a rich guy, but he was also a fighter who could handle himself. So he walked around in fine clothing, and when we were about to enter the house, I was like, hang on, can you guys help me don my armor?
Right.
Since we're about to walk into a potentially dangerous area.
Yeah, exactly.
And even then, it didn't amount to anything.
Not really.
It's just like, hey, let's don the armor, and then done.
Yeah. And like, I like to play characters that don't usually use armor or have natural armor. Like, that's just because armor's like cool. Fine, and like, yeah, natural armor or being like able to withstand punches and shit is just kind of cool. Right? Yeah, with your own skin. Anyway, yeah, exhaustion tangent.
Yeah.
extreme you want these conditions to be. But another thing is, think about the mental effects of being under extreme cold.
Okay.
Or in a mountain setting, being at a higher elevation. Players can start to make mistakes, perhaps have spell failures, this sort of thing. You know, there are areas of the world in which it is virtually impossible for humanoids to survive. So the players are going to have to use spells. They're going to have to take precautions.
Like Baltimore.
And they're going to have to know that there are risks associated with this kind of weather. Then you have the extreme heat of an equatorial area.
Okay, well, so before we get into the second point, it is very true that, like, having these kinds of things, like, and especially with an Arctic setting, forcing them to use these kinds of spells is good, to make it so that it makes it more of a survival thing. But then I go, well, so I guess at this point we assume a few things, right? We assume we're using spells in such a way that they aren't going to break this terrain so much, because like. We've talked about Goodberry.
Yes.
Zbashu has covered Goodberry very well. And we've all seen it.
We agree wholeheartly with his sentiment.
Exactly. So like in that kind of case, they'd be like, okay, haha. But with something like keeping warm, then it's like, okay, what are we gonna do with that kind of, like, are we gonna use, I guess it would be like
thaumaturgy?
Well, so it's just firebolt a fucking log until you do it, I guess. But it's not. So in that case, I would go, it's not that simple, right? Because you can firebolt a log all you want, but it's not going to stay lit, right? Because you're just scorching it over and over. It'll light after a while, but you've scorched it so much that is it going to burn for as long, I guess.
You've kind of destroyed the material now.
Exactly. And like also with art, can you find enough material to make a decent enough fire to keep warm, right?
Yeah.
Are you in an area of this tundra, like a cave or something, that you can actually do this in where it won't go out? Or, all these kinds of other factors. We have to start thinking about those kinds of things in order to make it work. Because, sure, even in this case, you go, oh, sure, you have Goodberry. That's fine. But, it's cold.
And berries ain't gonna keep you warm.
You might feel warm in your belly. You might feel full in your belly, but full does not equal warm.
Yeah.
So I think that's a perfect way to kind of have them use resources and make it kind of more necessary to actually engage with the weather and engage with their thoughts of like, how do I get out of here? How do I live?
How do we deal with this?
Yeah.
Make them use their monkey brains.
Yeah, monkey brain. They put stick to other stick, and then they hit them together until it become fire. Yeah.
And just be sure that if they sleep on the ground, they get worms.
True.
That there are risks associated with this kind of weather. Then you have the extreme heat of an equatorial area. Now, obviously, in terms of human history, it was the diseases more than just the heat that made exploring these areas so difficult.
Okay.
But when you combine extreme heat with incredible humidity, you have something that can really sap people if they're moving through this area. So here again, you have exhaustion rules in place, and it's exacerbated. They need to hydrate themselves constantly. They're literally just sweating out every bit of water in their system. Right. Now, the water sources in a typical equatorial area that's going to create a jungle or a swamp are usually fetid. They've been spoiled by the various nasty creatures that live there. Your players are going to have to use spell slots to protect them, and hydrate themselves, and potentially protect themselves.
Water there is terrible. It's awful for you.
Or all sorts of
parasites, like Dasani.
You said parasite as he said parasite.
Oh shit! yeah, you got to be careful, man. That Dasani, it'll fuck you up.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Actually, no, it's Deer Park that'll fuck you up.
Deer Park's been fine so far as I've had it. Actually,
that's lucky for you. We have shit Deer Park over here because. Like the reason why I think the Deer Park that at least we get is disgusting is because I looked at the label to see if it was. I just looked at it, and turns out that the Deer Park we get is from Springs in Florida.
Oh,
So yeah,
Okay,
we're getting
interesting.
it's literally swamp water.
So for this kind of thing, obviously, well, it doesn't need to be said, but I will say it anyway. For any of these kinds of things that you're going to be doing with weather, you want to have your session 0 be like, hey, we're doing weather, right? It's going to be hot in some places, and you're going to need to drink water, and it will get tiring because you didn't drink enough water, right?
Yes.
You lay out all these things first, and then in those kinds of instances, you give them ample opportunity to prepare. Right? Like, if they don't prepare enough, that is on them, because you have given them everything they need available, right?
If you don't give them the time to prepare, then that's on you.
Exactly. If they don't have the time to prepare because they've been putting something off, maybe, then that's all on them, right? It depends on the situation, of course. But for something like this, with the absolutely humid kind of place, having them trape through a swamp, trape? Is that? Trapes. That's right. Trapes through a swamp, and they only have their one water skin. You go, ooh.
Well, looks like you should have got another water skin.
Ooh,
time to drink your own urine.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then they go, oh, I'll just drink from the stream. And I'm like, stream?
What stream?
There is a stagnant pool of gross there. Do you want to drink that?
And there's also, I suppose, there's like a big fuck off Amazon River, but
yeah, exactly.
You walk within 1,000 feet of it, and you can hear the alligators hissing away.
Yeah, they're just like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. And you see a bird land on it, and all of a sudden it disappears in a fucking burst of bloody foam, and there's piranhas jumping out of the water 10 feet to snatch the feathers that are falling out of the sky.
Exactly. And so then you can have, like, you can even use backgrounds and such like that again, or somebody who's proficient in nature, right? Who can then go, I know that these, you go, okay, you can roll your nature, and they go, oh, I got like a 15, and then you go, oh, okay, so you know that these plants, these certain plants with these leaves specifically, you can get water out of them by breaking them and drinking the water out of the stem, right? You know, like, make it so that it becomes something that's like, ooh, I have skills that I can use in this certain situation that might be helpful, right? And then you can expand their minds to the usage of skills, right, in different situations in this way. Or tools, or, you know, things like that. Like, somebody has what's a good tool for this? Fucking, they have a calligraphy tool. Okay. Because they have a calligraphy tool set, they have ink pots, and they have quills and the like. And the trying.
No, you're good.
Ink pots, they can use ink for shit. I'm trying.
Calligraphy tool's not really the best for this.
Hey man, I'm trying real hard.
I know.
This is what I would hope from other people to go, what can I do with this, right?
Well, you can make calligraphy.
Like, right, but you can try to stretch your imagination in such a way.
I know.
Like, yeah, you know what I'm going for.
I know what you're going for.
Is ink good for, ink good for survival? Drinking? Well,
I think we know who would last the least amount of time.
Oh yeah, I would be dead in a second. Don't you worry about that. No, but I mean, I'm trying to think if there is any kind of useful thing that you can do with ink to. Okay. I don't. How flammable is ink actually?
I don't believe it's very flammable.
Okay, that might be good. Let me check, because this actually would be a use for it if I'm right. Is ink flammable? Some types of ink are flammable and others are not. Water-based are not flammable. However, any inks that use alcohol or other hydrocarbons will be flammable. Okay. So you could
use it as a fire starter.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you could use that to help start a fire. If somebody doesn't have a tinderbox or anything like that, and make
even
it so
though
you
they
could...
come with every adventurer's pack.
Well, yeah. Shut
I'm
up.
not trying to discount what you've said. Don't worry.
I know.
This is a good idea.
Yes.
The problem is that D&D or 5e is like, here you go. Here's everything you need.
Yeah, exactly.
It gives you a little kiss on the lips and then go. Go. You know?
Well, yes, you're right. But I'm also thinking, like, if you could make a makeshift torch with it, in order to have that for animals at night, if you're going to continue traveling at night, or just in general to have for animals, because animals don't like fire. That's just a thing. And so you can use it to boil water with, because you might be able to get water somehow if you need it, and then boil it, right? Excuse me. So yeah, I don't know. Just stretching your brain for how you can make them use these kinds of things to then further immerse them into the situations, further immerse them into the situations at hand, and make it so that the actual climate and terrain and everything do matter, you know? You don't have to do this every time, obviously, because if they go through one jungle and then they have to go through another jungle later to get back, you could probably fast forward them through it, because they figured it out. They did it once, they can do it again. Right?
Yeah. As long as they have it.
Yeah. Well, even so, like, they could potentially figure something out, you know? But you want that moment to, like, kind of be their experience with the jungle, right? And then going through it again, unless you have something planned for it to be a little harder. It's that whole thing of, like, trying to balance travel with...
Yeah, because travel's another thing. That's a whole other can of worms.
It's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, drink water. It's good.
Things that thrive in this kind of super extreme...
That was the other thing. He's talked about diseases. Now, so I like the idea of using diseases in D&D.
Yes.
The problem is the use of diseases in D&D. Because I don't know how debilitating you can make a disease that would actually make it fun.
Honestly, what I would say is, if you want to use diseases in D&D, you should look into the 4th edition monster manuals. Yes, I'm serious. Because a lot of monsters in that monster manual have diseases built right into them. Like rats, like every time you get bit by a rat, you, depending on the kind of rat, like if it's a giant rat or just a regular rat or whatever, you need to make constitution saves. And if you fail, you have contracted the disease. And then after that, you're making constitution saves after a certain period of time. And if you fail it, the disease progresses and gets worse. And if you succeed, it is not removed, but it is reduced, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
And so like, if you look at the Mummy in 4th edition, it comes with mummy rot and stuff like that. So every time you get hit by the mummy, it's bad shit.
Yeah.
And then like OT Uggs and stuff like that, filth fever.
True. Yeah. So I guess if you want to do it so that they can contract something, maybe not even know, like you just have them in the jungle and they eat something that's bad, or you know, all that kind of stuff, and then you have them make that save, and then if they fail it, then you go okay, and they go.
Honestly, I think what I would do is, instead of having them roll when they do, like, instead of having them roll when they eat something, I think before I send them into the jungle, I would ask for and then write down everybody's constitution.
Oh, okay.
And then if they do something that could get them a disease, I roll in secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
a
that
better
way
idea.
I'm using their scores,
Mm-hmm.
but that way, like, oh, you ate that berry. Okay, roll. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, like, they wake up the next day. It's like, dude, your stomach feels fucking awful.
Right, exactly. And this also can then be use the other part of lesser restoration and greater restoration that removes diseases. Like, then you
Yes.
can actually have it be useful.
Yeah, that's the thing, because the things that restoration actually alleviate, nobody uses them.
Not usually, no. But also, as long as your paladin isn't 5th level, you're good.
Yeah,
Because
right.
your paladin will never get diseased. Don't worry about it. He just walks through the jungle and drinks all of the swamp water.
Hey, Paladin, check if this water is good. No, it's really bad. Don't drink it, guys.
Keeps drinking.
Yeah. And your Paladin's like a frat boy. Chug, chug, chug the pond.
And you can have this delirium that I talked about with the Arctic cold. Not only exhaustion, but your mental acuity starts to fail. You start to get disadvantage on things and whatnot. Now the extreme.
So that kind of point, I'm like, okay, so now we have to have like a sanity kind of system.
Hang on one second. He's still
Arabian.
Oh,
there. We go.
go.
Is he still playing for you or no?
No, he didn't pause for you before.
Yeah, he did not pause for me.
Oh, okay. Well, so he said you can have that that acute kind of madness that's happening as well here, which I'm sure, yeah, if you're traveling through forever, you don't get to your destination soon enough, you start going because travel can be kind of taxing, especially when you're going on foot through a place that you don't know. I'm fine with that, but I'm also like, we need to have some sort of system for that now. We need to have like a sanity system, right?
Yeah.
Where we have to keep track of that. And that I feel like would be purely on DM to keep track of. But the other thing to that, then I go, oh, but this is something that is just a thing that will happen to the players. And it really depends on your table, I guess, if they're okay with this happening. Potentially, and like having that just be a consequence of travel too long.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you just spring that on them and they go, now my character doesn't like things and is paranoid. And it's like, my agency.
Yeah.
Right? So it's one of those things again. Talk to your players beforehand.
Yes.
Super extreme environment. And you can have this delirium that I talked about with the Arctic cold. Not only exhaustion, but your mental acuity starts to fail. You start to get disadvantage on things and whatnot. Now, the extreme heat of the Arabian Peninsula makes it still one of the least explored areas in the world. And the desert is a classical, extreme, deadly environment in D&D. Not only because of the heat, but the lack of water and the lack of populace. If you get into trouble in the desert, you have to go a long way to find help. And you can ante up the threat of a desert by creating a specific area that is especially deadly. Think of a Death Valley effect, where you've got, you're far below sea level, separated by two mountain ranges, and the heat is just extreme. A lifeless land of vast alkaline seas that, only a few days would kill anyone. And this sort of valley is the classic after effect of some titanic death struggle of the past, where they used such magic they scorched the ground and salted it, left it a hellhole where nothing can live. But the remains of the civilization and the treasure and artifacts which are there for anyone brave enough to weather the weather.
God damn it.
Nice.
That's
did
good.
It.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I'm not going to lie.
It was okay.
Yeah.
If you're going to have truly ancient creatures in a world, then you can have an area that at one time was temperate, but now has become, an Arctic wasteland or desert. The Antarctic, we find fossils that indicate millions of years ago it was a jungle. Now, in the real world, this takes millions of years. The Earth has to turn on its axis and continents moving. But in a fantasy setting, anything is possible. So you could have an area that at one time was very temperate and then turned cold or hot or whatever. And you can have the remnants of that society that moved underground to avoid these effects. So now you've got an entire civilization which exists underground that's totally disconnected for thousands of years from the rest of the world because these environmental effects have created a barrier between them and the rest of the world.
Sure.
So essentially kind of like the thing I was describing.
Yeah.
Where you have the city that's, safe in the harsh desert that nobody really goes to anymore.
Yeah, my whole thing is like we just need to figure out the reasons, right?
Yeah.
Because I understand anything can happen in your fantasy world, but like also it follows a line of logic. Right? Because and it's easy as in a fucking 15 TD, that's the year. 15 TD, fucking Gagami and Florsk, two rival wizards were like, fuck you, dude. And started
as they are wont to do.
Yeah, they hate each other. It's natural because they hate each other.
Wizards don't like each other.
Yeah, not usually. And,
it's funny that's actually fairly accurate.
Kind of accurate, yeah. But and then they did their whole wizard war for a while, and it scorched the land and made a kind of put this magic in. It like tore the weave in such a way that it now affects the earth, the land. So that now in these temperate kind of areas, in these areas themselves, they become temperate or Arctic or all this kind of stuff just over the course of, it would be not seasons, but they're faster than seasons, right? Like it makes it so like every month it's a different climate because
oh my god,
because fucking the magic is there and it continues to warp and change the area, and things have kind of adapted to that, where you have fucking animals that grow hair for a month and then just shed it all away the next month because it's gonna be fucking warm again, right?
Yeah.
Or hell, people and things there that aren't technically natural, right? They just live there because they can. And so people don't go there because it's like, it's really unpredictable. You might take things for the winter weather, and it would be hot for like 2 months, right? Because it could be completely unpredictable, right? Have some interesting kind of things there where it becomes like, fuck, dude, every time you go there, it's a dice roll, right? Not literally, but also kind of. But yeah, so have that kind of shit just to make it make sense, or as much sense as you need.
Yeah, because it has to have some form of logic. That's all.
Exactly.
Save for the player characters who decide to cross the deadly expanse and to meet this civilization. Another thing you can have in terms of a weather effect is a sea with notoriously bad weather. Think about the Barents Sea between Alaska and Russia. You also have the North Sea has this kind of weather. The whole area south of the 40th parallel in the southern hemisphere. Players might have to cross the sea and find it difficult to find a ship or crew who's willing to do this. And if they try to fly across, obviously the atmosphere above the sea is going to be just swirling with air currents. And another thing is you can have an area of the sea that is prone to rogue waves. 100-foot plus monsters that will smash any medieval ship to pieces. Very dangerous to cross. So another thing that you can do is to have a localized weather event.
Okay. We're past that.
Yeah. Fast.
I mean, it's an ocean, and there's only so much you can do with it, really. Have them go through a fucking tropical storm, like, and get to the eye of the storm even, and then see all the shit that's going on around them.
Whirlpools.
Whirlpools, that's true.
Yeah, whirlpools.
I forgot.
You can have sea monsters.
Yes, that's true. Well, that's less weather. That's more just there.
Well, what if the sea monster only feeds during certain storms?
Ooh,
where the water is tossed and turned and it's throwing schools of fish.
True.
And the fish are like slapped down onto the water with such force that they're stunned or something.
That's true.
It meets a big, slow sea monster.
That would be kind of sick, honestly.
Kind of like a dragon turtle.
Yeah. Are they really that slow though?
I don't know. I'm just kind of just
Yeah,
I'm just
I understand what you
spitballing
mean.
here.
Yeah. But no, that's true. That's absolutely true. You can make it work that way. Yeah, I mean, sailing has never been a thing that I've done in
Yeah.
D&D or any
Yeah.
TTRPG, really. I've wanted to.
That's why we need to play 7C.
True.
At some point.
Yeah,
Way later.
in the future.
Yeah,
That nebulous future that might never come.
Yeah. No, it'll come. Have faith.
Well. But yeah, so I want, so it becomes that kind of problem of like, unless there's something going on in the ocean, right? Like why,
Yeah.
right? And the other option is, why did the DM get you on the boat? Oh, so he can use all these cool sea monsters that he never gets to uses.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks that is all the water is now, and that it's a meme, basically.
Yeah, it's a meme.
I hate that.
Well, it's so like, and I would love to do this seafaring voyage for characters that want to travel places. I would love to do that. That'd be so. Waterworld campaign. There you go, Pizza Funk.
Yeah. Make a city made out of flotsam. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, absolutely. So like, legitimately, I would love to run that because it would be cool to see, like, to watch. I don't know, or play in it, obviously, because it'd be cool to experience a sailing kind of adventure, where the point is to get somewhere.
I think one of the best ways to do that is, instead of having all of, like, if you have your own world and stuff, you need to design it where, let's say that there's a north and a south.
Okay.
And, like, the north is volcanic and, like, tundra and plains, like, toward the south end of it. And then the southern area is, like, I don't know, deserts, jungles, and, like, temperate forests and shit. And in order to do you guys' main quest, you have to go back and forth. Because there's, like, 3 major cities on each place.
Sure.
And you have to work with all of them, or something like that.
Right. Well, so my go-to is just to have an archipelago.
Yeah.
That
you just have to have a system of islands. It just has to be that way.
It just has to make sense that sailing is the way that people get around, right?
Yes.
Unless you have, like, flight, right? Which not everybody's gonna have, and you can't maintain forever with magic, right?
Yeah.
Unless you have a flying carpet, I guess. It's just one of those things where you just don't, like, unless you do that, and then unless there is something notable in your path, like, the only time where I would stop in the middle of you traveling through the ocean would be for, like, character stuff, and that's it. Right?
Dude, you know what it should be, actually? I'm stealing this from Monster Hunter World.
Go for it.
And that's it.
Nice, yeah.
There should totally be, like, you're sailing through the ocean, and it's like a big fucking stretch of ocean to get to the next place.
Okay,
and you're not expected for a while, just because, it's a long way.
It's just a long voyage, yeah.
Yeah. And so you're sailing, and then all of a sudden you have, like, you hear a big distant boom, and you see a rogue wave approaching. And then it's not a huge rogue wave, but it is very sizable.
Yes.
So the wave hits, people take damage, maybe some things are thrown overboard,
Right.
and after the wave has dissipated, you look off in the direction of the boom, and you see a massive plume of smoke. And so you go over there, and you see that there's a fucking volcano rising up out of the ocean. And along the shore of the volcano is a coral reef being lifted up out of the ocean. And so you go there just to, like, explore, and there's, like, sunken ships that were lost in the coral.
Yeah.
Like, zombie pirates and all these kinds of cool fucking fish things.
That'd be cool.
There's, like, Sahagin there. There's, like, a Sahagin city that was down in the coral, and they were the ones that fucking sank the ships.
Yeah, totally.
You're welcome, everybody listening in chat. Because now you have an ocean adventure that still takes place on land, but that land is very, very much ocean.
Yeah, that's true.
It'd be like if you went into underwater, and you had a forest adventure, but it was a kelp forest.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, water cool, not used enough.
It's really not.
It occurs intermittently. So, for example, the classic is the superstorm. So what if your players are racing against a group of NPCs and they go to a coastal area that's about to be hit by a hurricane? You know, we've seen it in a ton of movies, but why not in D&D? You know, the high winds and rain, the tidal surges moving in, destroying everything in its path, threatening to wash anyone, including the players, out to sea. The tornado is a classic of adventure films. What if you have an area, a valley, or some part of a desert, or whatever, in the sea or whatever, that is prone to tornadoes? So this area of tornadoes could be just based on the geography of the area, or it could be some lingering effect of some magical struggle or some curse by some deity or something that the players have to go and relieve. You can also have what are called heat bursts, and this is changes in the atmosphere where suddenly there's a heat burst of sometimes 20 degrees Fahrenheit. You can have these in an area as a continual threat, and you can make it a lot hotter than that. The players know about this or experience it for the first time, and they have to deal with this. Okay, so another great environmental effect that you can use.
Yeah, so the only, for that one, for heat bursts, I'd be like, well, you have to have it be like more than 20 degrees, because it's like, oh, it's 60 out and now it's 80.
Oh no, this is very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
but I'm still perfectly fine.
Like, as much as I hate anything above 70, but like fucking I can live in 80, like it's fine.
Yeah. It sucks, but I can do it.
Exactly.
I'm not life threatening.
Yeah. I guess it's another thing of like, you better have the water, I guess.
Yeah.
But even so, you can be okay for a little while.
Yeah.
I guess direct sunlight and exposure in that way could kill you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. It's an option, sure. It just seems less exciting than a fucking tornado.
Yeah. Right.
Are atmospheric effects. And these are usually born out of the geography of the area and the confluence either above the ground or below it. So fog is the classic atmospheric effect, and it restricts sight and movement. And sight especially because you have particles of water in the air that reflect any light that you attempt to use. So in a foggy environment, creatures that don't use traditional sight to find their way around have a tremendous advantage. You have the classic fog-shrouded island in King Kong, which is cut off from the rest of the world, and also fog-shrouded seas that are very dangerous to sail through. And of course, in D&D, these atmospheric effects such as fog can be the result of magic, or they can be in some
magic.
The classic is the world of Strahd, right? You have a poisonous fog that surrounds it, you can't leave. And also...
Wait, it's not poisonous. It's just magic. It's just...
What the did he say Barovia?
Yeah, he
Barovia,
said
whatever.
The one from Curse of Strahd. And I'm like, it's not poisonous.
Actually, it was in the original, very original one. It was that way.
Yeah, fair enough. That to deter people from leaving.
Yeah.
Instead of now where we go, oh, you just wander into the fog and then you wander back out in Barovia.
Yeah,
again.
That's how. Yeah, that's the better way to do it.
Which is the much better way to do it instead of, oh god, you're dying now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, you walk into the fog and now you're being poisoned. Have fun.
Bye.
It has this sort of perpetual twilight all the time that creates this gloomy effect and horrific feeling. You can have areas that have weird atmospheric effects, the way the sunshine goes, the lack thereof, it's always night or something, and that can really add to the atmosphere of the run. The thing to remember is atmospheric weather effects don't necessarily have to be deadly.
True.
But as you're approaching the Lich Castle, think about what the weather is going to be like, the feel of the air, the smells, this sort of thing. The atmosphere can be to give your players some flavor to the world, but also to tell them, hey, something bad is up. So another classic environmental effect is a gorge that has perpetual mist. a huge waterfall or water rolling over rocks is going to create this misty thing that's not only going to restrict movement and sight, but it's going to make it dangerous to move around. The rocks are going to be very slippery, covered in lichen, this sort of thing. And of course, if you slip going down into a gorge, you could fall hundreds of feet. And extended time in this kind of mist, this is much thicker than fog. This can start to damage items that the players are carrying. Scrolls, perhaps. And if you have waterfall...
Well, unless you have a watertight or water-sealed fucking scroll case like you should.
Yeah.
Like everyone should. You idiots. Come on.
Fucking fools.
God. I there's not much to like fucking comment on at this point. He's just kind of telling us stuff, which is like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, it's a thing.
Yes, it is.
Like,
I agree that this is a thing.
Like, I guess applications we could talk about. He's already talked about a few. Fog. Very good application for, like we said, using as something that tactically can be used by things in it. Fucking every time somebody goes, I cast light on my stick so I can have a light, you go, haha, idiot, you can't see.
Fog doesn't really work with that.
It doesn't work that way. In fact, have you ever been in a car in fog and then turned your fucking high beams on? Man, does it suck.
It is the exact opposite of what you want.
It's really bad. And then they go, ah, shit, you could see 20 feet before, now you can only see 10. Fuck, dude, no. You know, and have that be kind of detrimental. And then somebody tries to light a torch, and then you go, ha, fog is water, idiot! And even so, the light is still gonna do the same thing. You're just making it worse for everyone. Yay! Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Other than that, there's not, like, the misty rock thing. Yeah, gorge. It's a gorge, mist. Nice. Like, I wish there was more I could say about this. I want more that from like before where I could say other things.
No.
Damn it. It's good video though so far.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
Using wait, pause it again.
Okay.
Using volcanoes in Dungeons and Dragons.
Huh? Oh, is that a recommended for you?
Yeah, down in the recommended ones.
Oh, okay.
Neat.
Oh, I don't see that for my recommended.
Oh
well. Alright. Well, I didn't mean to go that far back. No. Like there.
Water running, it can be a tremendous roar and the players can't hear it. So another great atmospheric effect comes from beneath.
Having something that I didn't even think about, the fucking hearing. Like, in a windstorm, you could maybe not be able to hear stuff so well, and like, brain blast. Okay. So in say you're in a windstorm, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's hard to see, you know, this show. You're
okay.
You're in a fucking windstorm.
You're in a windstorm. What?
and so the party is like tailing some dude, right? They're trying to get him. He's like a bounty, and they're trying to capture him for the local guards because you're gonna get paid like thousands of gold. And they're like, yeah. And they're chasing through, and it's like, okay, we'll follow him through this windstorm. It'll be fine. He's just some dude, right? And they don't know that this guy's a spellcaster. Okay.
Ooh.
First off, wind makes spells a little harder to do. Let's say because
it's
just because. Windy. Yeah, just because it says I point and shoot my fireball doesn't mean that you point and shoot your fireball very well. Disadvantage, idiot.
Yeah.
So
because it is. Oh well, yeah. Wait. With fire. I thought you were saying
firebolt. Excuse me.
Yeah, firebolt because fireball is not a ranged with attack.
You're right. Yes, you roll a 13. So
yes.
So with that, you go. But the other end of that is like the guy went into the storm because he knows the storm's happening, and he starts using it to do spells that they can't hear that come out of nowhere.
Ooh.
So you make it so that it's a surprise attack fucking spell, right? So they get disadvantage on whatever save they need to do against it, right? If it's something like a charm or something, obviously that's not going to work as well because you need to be able to like see them and all that shit, right? But with something like a firebolt that actually fucking hits, or potentially not that, I guess, some like throwing a fireball. You don't see him doing the movements. You don't see him throwing it out. You see the light of the fireball coming and then just be next to you, right? And then you get disadvantage on your reflex or dexterity, whatever you want to call it, because fucking you didn't see that coming. And hell, it might not even be exactly where he meant it to be, but it's close enough, right?
Yeah. And I like the as you're talking about like throwing firebolts and fireballs and in the shit, I like the idea of people being in let's say like a windy gulch. Let's go back to bandits again because fuck bandits.
Bandits. So good.
I love the idea of it being like a almost perpetually windy gulch area where the bandits like camp out up on the upper ridge and they fire arrows or crossbow bolts en masse, and they fire them in such a way that like the wind generally moves in a specific direction.
Yeah.
Like let's say it always blows north. So their arrows are carried further.
Absolutely, yeah.
And since they're firing en masse, they don't have to be as accurate.
Exactly.
That'd be really neat.
And that's
so that way they're effectively being sniped at with blind fire.
Exactly. Oh man, that'd be sick.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like you walk into the gulch and like they've got people with like a spyglass or something. I stole one. And they're like, they send a signal and then all of a sudden you just hear like hundreds of what sounds like stones whistling past you.
Yeah.
That'd be fucking scary, dude.
Yeah, dude. Man, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. Use the weather.
Use weather. Use it and make it so that it works in such a way that is interesting and fun and unique.
And cool.
And cool and all of those things.
Yes.
A geothermic field. Think of like Yellowstone Park or any active volcano. You know, geothermic activity can create fissures in the ground that suddenly let off deadly hot steam that can surprise or scald players. And not only are these gases hot, but they are typically poisonous as well. Now, we all know how exploring a cavern that is the center of volcanic activity and you've got lava flows, it's a staple of fantasy fiction and it attracts all sorts of great monsters. And when you're running in that sort of environment, you think about how these...
He cuts himself off like very frequently. You notice that?
Yeah, he kind of does.
Yeah, with his edits. It's a little... Just let it breathe a little bit more,
Yeah, just a touch.
Fumes and vapors may slowly overcome the players, may poison them without them really knowing it until they begin to see that their, exhaustion level or mental acuity is being affected. And then you can have atmospheric effects underwater, a super deadly current that will sweep characters along with it. Even with a freedom of movement spell, it might be powerful enough to at least cause a save. You can have areas of the water where suddenly it's just frigidly cold as they go deeper. Obviously, the pressure can affect them. You can also have sulfur vents coming out of the bottom of an ocean, that literally are hot enough to melt metal. And the final aspect of having weather effects is that you can have spells and abilities which control the weather. Now, when you look at spells, it often takes, concentration and has a limited area. Even if it's 8 hours or whatever, it's not permanent. But if you have a very powerful creature, whether it's through its innate magic ability or spells or legendary effects to its lair, this can affect the weather around that area. So these creatures...
he brings up a thing that I never think about either. Layers and their weather effects.
Yep, because not many... Because here's the thing, a lot of times, the things that actually have layers and layer effects are so strong that most average parties, which usually, end in several
10,
levels.
Remember?
Yeah, they usually end in those early levels.
Yeah.
They're never strong enough to implement them.
That's true. But you could also use that... It is very. You could also use that as the reason why weather is the way it is in a certain area.
And the other thing you could do is with my going back to my bandit wind tunnel arrow thing. Instead of it doesn't have to always be a perpetually windy gulch. They could have a druid.
True. Also true.
Or just somebody who just has control weather. I don't know all the spellcasters that get control weather.
I don't know. I will check.
Yeah, but they just have one that can cause winds.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
Yeah, and then you have this perfect thing that they have figured out, and they have this power because of
Yeah.
the way that they implement it.
And since it's a person doing it, they can have it go exactly where they want it to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And hell, they could practice.
Yeah. Control weather is an 8th level spell? Oh my god.
Oh, never mind.
Cleric, druid, wizard. Okay.
Those are some big ass. That's a big ass
Sorcerer.
fucking bandit camp.
I was gonna say that's an end boss bandit camp, huh?
Yeah. What's the final boss? Bandits.
The bandit king.
Yeah. I mean, that would actually be kind of cool. It'd be
It would
like
be rad as
hunting
fuck.
down like the gray fox if he was evil.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, okay. Oh, control winds is a level 5 spell, it looks like. Okay. That might work. Anyway.
Yeah.
Creatures can use the weather to wield death. And you could be creative about this. Think about different weather effects that might be possible when your players encounter these sort of deadly creatures. And you can have an artifact which controls the weather in a specific area. All the different effects and all the different weather conditions that I described could be created by some artifact in an extremely localized area that doesn't have to make sense in terms of the geography. So I hope that was helpful. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel. Also, I'd love to hear comments, how you use weather, some weather conditions maybe that I didn't think of in this video. But in the meantime, keep playing D&D, my friends, and tell somebody else about it.
Oh, that's nice. Tell somebody else about D&D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that video.
Yeah, it's a good video. Other than the
videos.
cutting himself off very quickly.
Yeah, but
sometimes.
that's like very
But
minor.
other than that, like that's very minor.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 good videos in a row. What?
Yeah.
Who would have
Wow.
guessed?
Yeah, crazy.
Who would have guessed?
When are we, actually, speaking of good videos, when are we going to be going back to Garibay and also the Nerds campaign, out of curiosity? Or do we even want to?
Well, I want to get back to Garibay. The nerd stuff, I think we got it. I think we get it, you know.
Man, I bought all 7 parts of it.
I know.
That was like
what I would like to well, I would like to look
$8.
I would like to look at the last one just a little bit at some point.
Okay.
Just because that one I think it was gonna have the most meat, right?
Yeah.
Because all the individual ones are gonna be the individual ones that are very much the same.
Yeah. Well, I think we should at least take like a very cursory glance at them.
Sure, we can.
Maybe we could just do all of the nerd stuff in
Yeah.
one video and just make it really about the last one, really.
Yeah, exactly. I think that sounds fine. But probably not for this month.
Yeah, that's
Probably
fine.
not. But
Yeah.
definitely later on. With Garibay, we're definitely gonna have to do it during the month. Absolutely. It's
We gotta get
it's just
back
necessary.
to. We gotta get back to the thing.
There's fucking
learning
10
how
of
to
them, and
be
we've only done 1.
Yeah. Jesus.
But yeah. So overall, I think I think the big thing I want to take away from his video is that using weather would actually be a solution to this exhaustion problem a little bit. Just in the fact of like having it be more prevalent. And thus it's not necessarily just a hazard to travel through. It is something that is lasting a little bit, but even so, I also think like, oh, you get exhaustion from this weather, and then you go to not in the weather, and you just go to sleep, and you're fine.
Yeah.
Just so it helps the prevalence, but it doesn't help the actual execution, I would say.
Yeah, that's the thing.
But yeah, what are you gonna do? So other than that,
Is that it pretty much?
That's
we've
pretty
got
much.
comments.
We do have comments, yes, which I will pull up now. But that is it for the videos. So that's enough talking about the fucking weather. God. So let me switch over here to comments. We only have one, and it's from Lux. So let's get right to it. So this was for last episode. I do believe Boo has the most terrifying Christmas-themed avatar I've ever seen. Is the first part.
Really?
There you go. Apparently.
Okay.
the big pointy teeth, I think.
Yeah.
Probably. Pretty cool.
I like it.
Yeah, it's great. So, Tulok should have gotten someone to review his class for him before he made a video about it, I would say. A lot of improvement is still needed before it could be playable. I'm assuming it's meant to be playable because I don't see the point otherwise. Yeah, that's true. Once you make a video on it and, like, put all this stuff out and you don't go, oh, tell me, how I could improve this or anything during it at all, it feels like it's supposed to be there for you to use. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
This seems like first draft shit still. Anyway. Casting spells without somatic components at level 1 definitely sounds overpowered by 3.5 standards. All the official classes needed the meta magic feat still spell to do that, which required using a spell slot 1 level higher than the spell being cast. Wizards and divine casters had to apply the feat during their daily spell preparation, and spontaneous casters had to take a longer action to cast it. That's true. And in 5e, it's the only people that can do that are sorcerers, because they have metamagic as their ability, which you can either choose, or you can choose 2 of them when you start out, and you can only use them via sorcery points. So yeah, it's still fucking OP.
Oh yeah,
even in 5e standards. So I agree with you on both accounts. There's also apparently an epic feat called Automatic Still Spell that lets you cast all 0, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd level spells as stilled spells without preparing or casting them as meta magic spells. I didn't know this. But its prerequisites include the still spell feat, 27 ranks in spellcraft, and the ability to cast 9th level arcane or divine spells.
Okay, so
yeah. So it's way up there. Something like that as a 1st level class ability would be a lot. I agree. Lore-wise, I suppose this class is going to require a setting that supports it. You can have dragons that are willing and able to make pacts with warlocks, but that would have to be a choice the DM made when building the world. I might be willing to do that, but this class needs to get fixed up first. Agreed. On the subject of lightsabers, D20 Future lists the damage type of laser and plasma weapons as fire. Damn it. So I'd probably consider lightsabers to also be that. Simplest way to decide it. Damn it.
Victory.
I'm sure, it doesn't surprise me that that's the official way to do it. I just I was just being shit. Understanding that you looked interesting that you looked at a video about symbiotes the same week I got over my hesitation and started watching Kill la Kill. Better late than never, I suppose. So yes, much better video for sure. I think I would use BESM D20 to make this class, though. I don't know what that is. BESM D20. What is that? I will Google BESM D20. It's a White Wolf thing. Oh, the Anime Role Player's Handbook. There you go.
Oh. Fair.
That's a thing. Okay. From White Wolf. I didn't know they did that. That's neat.
Okay.
Anyway.
Sounds like I needed that.
Apparently. I feel a little bit more potential for using this concept in an anime-style campaign than standard D&D fantasy. If I ever get around to using that system again, I think I'll look this video up and recreate it using those rules. I don't know if I can work an exact match out of it, but I do know BESM D20 has design options that I could get close to this class. I can't think of much else to say here. I guess that's it for this one. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah, shorter one.
Yeah.
I think what I would do is use this for something like Starfinder, honestly.
Yeah.
Something that is more sci-fi. Definitely. Though I'm still cool with it being in D&D because, again, it made sense enough for me with the way the powers worked and all that shit, right?
Mhm.
It works for me, and I'm not so much against having weird things in my D&D every now and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. So yeah, that'll do it for us for today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Quick, easy, painless.
Yeah. It makes sense that not many people showed up for it because
Aw, rip.
no, it's fine. I understand. But yeah, so thank you again to our patrons. That
Yes.
being Draco Kraken, Mog Zero, Slazer, Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Lux, because I've said your name once, your first name once already, and I don't know. Frozen Spaghetti and Kill Chrono. Thank you to all of you for supporting us and getting us closer to the dice. All that shit that we said before in the middle, and also, hey, if you made it to this point, subscribe maybe. It's been a minute since I've seen a new subscription. Subscribe.
We've peaked.
Hey, I was here. I know you were a mongoose. I'm not saying that I don't value the people that were here. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's just that like if we schedule a stream and it's about Garibay, people are like, "Oh boy,"
yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah, and it makes sense. But anyway. So yeah, subscribe if you're new. Comment on the video. Do all the things. Fucking whatever. You know what you do on YouTube. I know what you do. Do it.
Yeah.
And other than that, at this point, hey, the schedule, it's on our website. You can find the website in the description.
On the web.
On the web, in fact. I'm just messing around. I know you are. Don't worry about it. And I've said it enough at this point, but if you're new, hey, I'm going to say it to you right now, and you can find this even on our fucking like channel info page, but you can also find it if you subscribe and you get to see when we fucking are streaming. That's a thing. And you get notifications of the fucking VODs when they go up and all that shit. So
sounds incredibly useful to
sounds
someone who would subscribe.
Incredibly convenient.
Yeah. Super convenient. Or
yes.
super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
There you go. So hey, Tuesdays, Fridays, and sometimes Mondays. I still need to work on the audio version of last week's because I'm a bad boy. But I'll get that
also out. We've got Thursdays going on at the moment with Astatine.
Yes, we do have Thursdays with Astatine live until that's done.
When we go back to Devils and Dice, do we want to make that live or no?
That's up to you, man. Do you want to?
I don't mind doing it because my main concern was basically I didn't want to do it live just because I didn't want the fact that we were streaming to distract us. But it doesn't seem like that's been an issue at all with Astatine.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be fine doing that now.
We get into character and we just go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
Then we could totally do that.
Absolutely. Then. So we'll do that. You heard it here first. If you were here, you were here for that.
Yeah.
Hey.
So when we get back to Devils and Dice, it'll be live.
It'll be live. But yeah, if you want specific times of things, watch another video.
Oh, okay.
And like, I'll start saying it again at some point because at some point I'll fall into the routine and just do it again. But you can find the schedule on our info as well as on our site as well as everything else. And if you subscribe, you don't have to worry about that shit at all. Anyway, that's everything. Thank you all for hanging out with us. And those of you who hung out with us for a little while and then had to go or whatever, or those of you who checked us out and then clicked off because we're just so cool.
Yeah, and even the bots, thank you.
And even the bots that I have reported for spam.
Thank you for coming by.
So
or should I say beep beep boop 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 beep boop.
There you go.
Beep beep boop. The one that goes. Beep, boop, beep.
We'll see you all next week.
Yes.
Goodbye.
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 Ooh, armor scraps. Goodbye.